It's all us.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Can chat hear us? We check our volumes.
Hello,
Everyone,
hello.
let's all
Hello.
talk at once to check our volume.
Talk at once.
I
That's
think
always
that would
works
be
out
really
so
obnoxious
well.
for
Hello.
everyone
Don't worry,
listening at
Great
home.
people
Like
love
a
it.
normal recording then.
Yes.
Hello,
I hear us.
hello,
I
hello.
unmuted to check. Yeah.
Well, here we are. I mean, we're just going to kind of banter a bit. Live, you're all going to get the banter pre one of our normal recordings. That's kind of how, that's how it goes.
Yeah, but we're still going to be on our best behavior, right?
No.
When
This is where
are
we
we
say-
ever on our
Well,
best behavior?
That's
After
that's
parties
where
or
we-
anything goes.
I was setting the bar low.
That's true. I mean, our worst behavior is where the best Patreon bloopers come from.
Oh, 100%.
Now, I will say
Right.
when
Yeah.
it comes to Patreon bloopers, I definitely get rid of most of me being funny because otherwise it would be 90% of me being
Okay.
hilarious on the bloopers.
Okay.
So I try to just balance it out between
You-
the five of us.
We've talked about this before. You 100% leave the comments you think you made that are funny in when you might cut some of ours. It's happened. It's
That may or may not be true. That may or may not be true.
I'm 75% more funny than comes across on the podcast, thanks to Leland.
That's a very
Yes.
specific number.
Selling yourself long there, Bill.
We also thought that we would give you a live synchronizing clap.
Yes.
yeah.
The last
Which-
clap of a
The
star.
last
Clap. Oh man.
The clap.
All right.
It's been a while since we hung out. Like
this-
my
this
face is
clap-
kind of already hurting
Yeah,
from smiling.
yeah. Come on, John. Count us
Oh, we
down.
ready to do it?
Let's do it.
All
Might
right.
as well.
Oh, we're doing this thing. All right.
All right, we'll do it just like we're doing a regular recording. Okay, everybody, shut up.
Oh, my hands are sweaty.
I don't care. I don't care. All right.
Knees weak, arms are
All right.
heavy.
There we go. Count her down. 3, 2, 1.
Oh, no.
I don't know. Our
Seemed
first
fine
one
for
was
me.
better.
Seemed fine for me.
That's because you're on the West Coast.
Now that people witnessed it. Ugh.
The pressure was on. I think we need to redo that.
No. It's a clap heard coast to coast.
That was the
Start us
final
off,
clap.
John.
The clap heard around the world.
All right, here we go. AP 59. Almost made 60. Very close.
Pretty close.
The finale of Aspara.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about episode 0 through 207.
Best
so,
3 episodes ever.
You're not going to list them?
Yeah.
Best episodes yet. Yeah, we're going to go through the titles.
Oh, give me a second. And, so let's start with 0. Anybody had anything with character creation?
Yeah, let's recap.
Well,
obviously,
I started with a different character, so it's kind of a touchy subject.
So for the podcast, we're obviously live right now. This is going to go back onto the podcast RSS feed in probably a couple weeks. It's going to come after the Forgotten Hive is finished completing. So if you're listening to the podcast version, you hear us kind of mention questions from chat, et cetera, that's obviously where they're coming from. Otherwise, we're going to try to make it an enjoyable experience for both the eyeballers that are looking at us right now and the ear holders that'll be listening to us later.
And the YouTubers.
And the YouTubers.
This will be more interesting than just our logo with the audio.
Yeah, well.
It's debatable.
Oh, okay. It wasn't a diss to our logo. Okay.
No, I was dissing us being more interesting.
Oh,
Okay.
So why don't
totally
Fine.
nailed that joke.
why don't we start off with the kind of the last handful of episodes? I think there was maybe 6 or 7 that
least
after
20.
party 58, you know what I mean? Since like we talked about last. But obviously, how does the kind of campaign finale sit with everybody? Why don't we start with Bill?
Boy.
Oh, man, pressure's on, Bill. Don't flub this.
What
Everybody's
happened
watching.
again? I was pretty happy with it, really. I didn't get the killing blow, which was perhaps my biggest complaint.
Well, you're not the one that took him to with like inches of his life to have somebody come after you and finish him off. Like a feather fall would have killed him after what I did.
Emily, this is my section right now to talk about how I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Actually,
Need to
Featherfall
implement raising
reduces falling damage completely.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah.
A feather fall of damage. Well, that's 0, so. Sorry, that didn't translate to podcast. I pushed my glasses up like a nerd. Okay.
Please continue, Bill.
Thank you,
Yeah,
John.
who's talking?
You're welcome.
I mean,
Let Bill
It was-
talk for once, chat saying.
this is normal. This gets cut out, so this is
usually.
this is my life. You're getting a peek behind the curtains. Yeah, no, I thought it was like impactful and climactic and like intense. I think all of us got like a relatively good closure to our character's story. Like I'm happy with what Falzarin's doing now, and I mean Herakleon's partly destroyed, but he'll help rebuild. His house is fine, so that's good.
Well, it was already
Upgrade.
decided.
You
You'll
can take
help.
over somebody else's house and have a nicer place.
That's
It was
true.
already said on the epilogue, right? You'll help rebuild, but you won't govern.
Yeah, I don't think politics is Falzarin's thing.
Everybody voted against you, though.
I imagine you could filibuster for
It
days,
helps.
though.
It,
Who wants to
it
run?
was decided by the people. We just left that part out.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Falzarin decided that he didn't want to be in the place of power, and it helped that everyone voted against him
Everyone.
as well.
Yeah, it really helped. It was a group decision that really helped
Yes.
Falzarin come to that final conclusion.
He's glad that his vision for Herakleon lines up with the vision of the people of Herakleon as well.
Like a true leader's
Fair
would.
enough.
Like a true
Exactly.
leader's would.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a really good ending to the story. It was, like I said, sufficiently intense. I thought for sure at least one of us was going to die. So I don't know how we managed that, but
I was kind of hoping you would die. So that you'd have to go through just the experience of losing a character in your first campaign. Your first character death's gonna sting, bro.
Yeah, took out an insurance policy on Falzarin the day she met him. Matter of time.
He's never had a character die. One shot,
true.
any other campaign, like
wait,
just saying.
really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I haven't. That's crazy.
Bill's winning D&D.
I am winning D&D. They said it couldn't be done.
I'm pretty sure as far as one-shot character deaths go that it's only been one of Emily's characters that have died in one of our one-shots, and that was most recently in the Lost Hideaway of
yeah.
Archmage's Lost Hideaway, where her character
Yes, the
fell
falling
off
damage,
of the
right? Yeah.
pillar
Yeah.
into the squishy ground when we were trying to get the crystal.
Well, Chad is
figure.
commending Bill and saying that Bill's good at the game. So I don't know. Does not dying qualify as good at D&D?
I mean, I think
Hey,
when
He's
your
a cock racer. He's just lucky.
yeah, when your war cry is blink, that comes with an
Well,
inherent
that's true.
A
survivability.
distinct advantage. Correct.
It's tactical. And it's smart. It's smart gameplay. Come on.
Elena,
Big brain
what's-
gameplay.
what was your opinion of the finale and how everything kind of rolled out?
Wow, I should have been thinking about my own answer here.
Yeah, see, being the person that kind of leads the prompts the questions, I get to go last, so it's just really beneficial for me.
So you're just like, yeah, what they said. I did not. Man, a lot happened. I did not see it going like that. I did not see the whole. Maybe I'm unobservant. I didn't see the whole Isabella love story thing like happening. That felt like it came out of nowhere, but maybe there was
What
opportunity
do
for
you-
us to like
What do you mean love
Learn.
story?
like that she like why she wanted the Eyes of Dundar. Like what her whole plan was. Like
Oh,
maybe
freeing
I'm just
Kalar?
yeah.
Yeah, that was something.
Like
I
maybe
think
I'm
sorta-
unobservant and didn't know that.
No, it sort of
Seeds
came to
planted
light.
with the book. that Falzarin and Shaft found, and the Kalar and Isabella's names were together. There's seeds planted.
That was a big leap to
All
jump to
I'm
that.
Yeah, all I'm saying is I didn't see that coming, or like that felt new to me and part of the ending that I wasn't anticipating.
Agreed.
Yeah,
I
same
also
here.
didn't
It
anticipate
wasn't
that
a
fight to
surprise
be
me.
happening so soon.
I think it makes sense that it may not have been as surprising to Emily / Shakara, just based on obviously Shakara's had the most in-depth conversations with Isabella, and I think of your characters together, really Shakara is in the position to kind of make a I don't know if judgment is the correct word, but like come to a conclusion about Isabella's intentions and kind of her character. And you're right though, Elena. Like there weren't
Yeah.
real. There wasn't anything. There wasn't any sprinkled. This one time, you're right, Elena. There wasn't anything
Thank you.
like
What? I
sprinkled
didn't hear
in.
you. Just say that again.
Leland, what
There
have you
wasn't-
done?
There wasn't like hints or really that were sprinkled around. I think as we get further into our conversation here, just the way the events unfolded of the campaign, a lot of things just kind of got circumvented or just either completely missed or discovered in kind of a roundabout way. So connections like that and kind of intentions like that are just the route that the party took throughout Aspara, the Asparan campaign, kind of made it so it came out of nowhere. There's just certain areas where maybe you just didn't go to, or people you didn't speak to that, or things you didn't uncover that may have hinted more at something like that, or more at Isabella's intentions. I mean, obviously the whole time she's telling Shakara, I want the eyes because we're going to bring Dendar back. And now, Isabella is telling that to Shakara and Jessica. I mean, Jessica was just as surprised as the rest of you, right? Of Isabella's actual intentions with it. But obviously Isabella is the type of person that's going to tell you what she thinks you want to hear to motivate you to what she wants done, kind of thing, right? So there wasn't anything that you missed as a player, if that's what you're getting at.
Yeah, so like when it comes to the ending, I just didn't. That felt interesting, and I didn't know or anticipate that being part of the ending and story. Didn't anticipate. See, now I was starting to interpret it as Cultist sacrificing himself selflessly, but everyone else corrected me and was like, he didn't know he was gonna die. So I was like, okay, fine. And then I didn't have a question in my mind as Elena, and I think Mia as well, thought Shakara would stay on our side. I wasn't actually worried that Shakara would turn against us, which is surprising. I there's always the possibility, but my bets were on her sticking with her.
It's surprising.
What she said. Yeah, I think.
Well, Emily,
the way you were in the fight, it just like felt like you were on our side, so I didn't question it. I don't know.
Right. So Emily, was there like a point that you can recall where you made a decision, or in your RP that Shakara made a decision one way or the other, or was it more just kind of how things unfolded? It felt right for Shakara as things were happening, or what?
Yeah, in my mind, in Shakara's mind, it was back and forth of whether or not she was going to help Isabella. And obviously it did not want to bring Dendar back, but when she was saying she wanted to bring Kalar back, and I was like, maybe we can do that. Maybe we can help her get Kalar out, but then I was like, well, we don't know this Kalar guy. Do we really want him free? He like, the stories we had, he sacrificed himself in order to lock away Dendar and Father Limmick. So does that mean he's a good guy? But then looking at Isabella.
Yeah, and just a slight correction on those stories, like until the end, nothing was said about Kalar. Like there was no attempts from anybody to uncover anything about Kalar. What was told to the party from the outset that a member of the cultist family,
other than about the armor,
wearing the armor, closed it. So really, it was late game where we realized that Kalar was also sealed away in the same place with Dendar and Father Limerick. So
Right.
there was a huge question mark, like you're saying, Emily, huge question mark around Kalar in general. So that makes
Right,
a lot
yeah.
of sense.
So I guess there was a lot of assumptions made on my part when Shakara saw him locked up with them.
Right.
But I still like it wasn't until that final fight that I was like, okay, yeah, no, we're not bringing anybody back. It's best they all stay locked away. But it was I mean, I did consider it. What would happen if I helped Isabella?
If you did, I would have attacked you, but you didn't help her, so I didn't. So it's like, trust you until you give me a reason not to, I guess.
Yeah. Well, obviously that end fight could have been a lot worse had Dendar and Father Limerick actually got out of the portal, right? Like it would have taken a whole different turn. Because you have to, if Dendar and Limerick made it out, like obviously Kalar is making it out. So then whose side is Kalar going to be on? Then what side does the party decide to be on, right? When these two monstrosity and like god level entities are out, and you have to presume fighting, right? In some capacity, as you saw them as they were still nipping and slicing and clawing at each other as they're just trying to get out of the prison, the icy prison, right? So that like things could have turned out way worse, vastly different. So kind of going back to like feeling like for sure you thought someone was going to die, things could have been a lot worse, but you as a party did very well mitigating a number of those factors through crowd control, like the walls of force, et cetera, right? And
channeling
kind of
Divinity
focusing
of
fire
Thor.
on Izzy. Exactly. Yeah. So
Blink.
I
Yeah.
hope
Totally crowd
So
control, right?
So I hope you as a party, I hope it felt like you as players were rewarded for your good play kind of in that end fight, because there was a lot of good decisions I think that were made. Like even just back
Numbing
to
Skull.
that was Turn Undead was great on Numb and Skull, just sending them running for the hills.
Turn Undead is great. And it helps that I had been playing my cleric in Baldur's Gate 3 before this fight came up, and just sort of like, yeah.
Remember that you have Turn Undead.
Yeah, remembering what I've got. Yeah. The chat
Emily,
is asking something here. Sorry.
Sure.
Or we can. Does this mean that in 500 years, Mia will be trying to free her love Samuel with another
Sammy's
party?
dead.
Well, then I
Sammy's
thought he was
so
dead. I thought he
dead.
died too. He's not like trapped.
Well, no, because like Leland just said, Dendar and Father Lemmick are free inside this other plane where Sammy is running around free. There's no way he's making it.
I don't
more
think
than
he's
2
alive.
seconds.
Also, I would like to clarify that Mia has never professed her love of Samuel. This is chat
There's
deciding.
so many unspoken ways that her love was professed.
I look forward to reading
So
the
many
fan
things left
fiction.
unsaid.
Fanfic. That is what makes it more tragic, the
I
unprofessed.
mean, the
between
19, 20-year-old and the how many year old? How old is he?
70,
Yeah,
80.
he's up there.
He appeared
But he
70 or
looks
80. but-
30. But he
Yeah.
looks
Right.
30.
He looks
You're
great.
fine.
He looks great.
Yeah.
As long as you don't take that helm off. So okay,
Put words in my mouth.
Emily, how was Shakara's ending? What did you think of hers?
Like Bill said, I seriously thought Shakara was going to end up sacrificing herself in order to make it all stop. That thought was definitely in my head that could be a possibility. I'm fairly happy with the way it all turned out until the very, very, very end,
Keck.
where Keck came and stole the eye. It was like, you had to, didn't you?
Well, so
Can't trust
I-
Shakara with an eye.
no, obviously not. So I asked Emma what would Keck do, and I asked her what would Keck's, or she said rather that Keck's motivating factor would be to get her voice back in whatever way possible.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right. So that's kind of and I don't know if it was obviously it wasn't quite clear in what kind of was spoken in that last little scene, but this, it's like years and years, like there's been years of complacency having gone by, right before that kind of is happening. Like there's many years of like Asparan peace as peaceful as Aspara
Heck,
can get
watching
before.
and scouting and waiting for her chance.
Right,
to
right,
steal
exactly, kind of thing. So
I mean, she could have just joined us. I would have welcomed her in. She could have been part of my family. We could all been living there happily, all guarding the eye. And she could have had her voice back.
Cuddle puddle.
Yeah. We could have been cuddle puddling every night. 4 of us.
It's okay. I
Well,
didn't really like the
Occasionally
way
Campbell.
that Leland took liberties with my epilogue either. So
Oh, that's BS. You said, I want this and this to happen. You have free reign to fill in the blanks.
all right.
John, final
Am
word
I,
on
am I the only one
finale-
that wrote
on
my
the-
epilogue?
You definitely, as you are wont to
As
do
usual.
with backgrounds, gave me the most to work with. Yeah. That was
John
gave an
tried to keep
outline.
it to under 10 pages, though, so he did good this time.
I did. I kept making the text smaller.
John's backgrounds are
You did the opposite of what I did in school, which is to put it at 20
double
point
space
font.
it, and yeah.
Yeah, I was happy with the end. I liked the final battle. I thought it was really cool the way everything was coming together. I liked that Shaft did what Shaft would do. He tried to get Nina out, and then of course we talked a little bit about that whole exit and how that was going to flow down. I wanted to leave some doubt that whether he would come back or not, right? He was sort of torn on whether he should get out and keep her to safety or go back and try to, help at the end to make sure this wasn't going to go any worse. And I think that went out pretty well. And I liked the epilogues. I think it sort of wrapped everything up pretty well. And I think it was a good
The
ending.
epilogues were epic logs. Okay, that was dumb.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
I do
That
have-
was dumb. You're right.
I do
That
have-
was dumb.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good answer. Good
Times,
answer.
2 times today. You're already right. I do have some questions, but I'm sure we'll get to that later on different things. Like,
Okay. Yeah. Good. My overall thoughts on the ending are positive. I think the fight played out in my head how, or it in reality it played out in my head. Reality, I can't tell the difference sometimes, but it played out how I thought it might. Like I said, obviously there was like things could have got a lot worse, and yeah, I think it was really fun. Obviously, it's always bittersweet. I think I've mentioned before on after parties and elsewhere, like this is the first campaign I've DM'd for that has finished. So I was incredibly worried that I might not be able to bring it home. If you know what I mean. I don't know. So maybe that's kind of where my own my judging myself comes in, but it was a lot of fun. I wouldn't have changed anything that we did, and it was great to have some finality. And I think the epilogues were a really, really good idea. I'm glad that we ultimately did them. It's definitely spurred by John wanting them, so that was a great call. I think they turned out really, really well. I enjoyed writing the ones for the NPCs. I hope it kind of flowed more of like reading a short little story rather than a bullet point by bullet point by bullet point. So it was really great to put together. And obviously, like I expressed at the very end of 207, like it's been nothing but a privilege to be able to play with the 4 of you. So very happy with everything.
I think you did a great job.
Yes.
I appreciate
writing
that.
this
I appreciate
Except for the
story.
comment of obvious reasons.
Yeah,
No,
I can
best-
honestly say this is the best D&D campaign I've ever played.
Oh, the
Wow,
best
thanks.
episodes yet.
Thanks,
This is the best campaign
Well,
I've ever finished.
I think I've been more invested with this character than any other character I've played in the 30 some odd years that I've been playing. So that means something. I really felt I really enjoyed the character and the way the whole story came together and how the interaction was the best role playing experience, I should say, too.
Yeah.
Because a lot of role playing at the tables, a lot of combat and people joking around a lot, but we had the joking around, but it was all, well done with the RPG session. So, yep.
I didn't know
Good
that
job,
like
Leland.
the amount of role play was heavy in our podcast, right? Like we didn't have much to compare it to at first.
Yeah, we've been
Um,
spoiled for
So
sure.
John
Elena
saying
and
those
I.
things carries more weight than what we say, I feel like, but I carry the same sentiment.
One of my favorite moments was episode 1 when Shaft ran up to Bren and said, "I didn't know you were
Inept.
inept." And just
Oh, yes.
just
Inept.
Elena
that
was
word.
like, "What the hell?
what the hell are you doing? My God, why are you attacking me? I'm like, that's a character. You gotta. So
Well,
yes.
and Bryn kept being like, I'd jab him in the neck, like thinking that I could kill someone with one poke. I don't know how this works. Like,
So that
We should have had Bill Ben go through and count how many times Elena said, "I don't know, I'm new to this. I don't know what
Well,
I'm
I
gonna
will-
do."
Bill
I
Ben
have
doesn't have
stopped
that kind
saying
of
it.
time.
I do feel like I've stopped saying it.
I hope so. It's been 4 years. You're not new anymore.
We can only put so much on Bill Ben. Which do we want to talk about that right now?
Yeah,
Since we
I
just
think we
Batman.
should. I think
All
we
right,
should.
so-
Na-na-na-na-na-na-na.
So we did
All
put
right.
that out in the Discord for a few people to pick
Preparing
some guesses.
myself.
But first off, I'd like to thank Bill Ben. We call him
Yes,
Bill
thank
Ben,
you,
but,
Bill Ben.
for the epic work that he has done, listening to
So
every
much
episode,
work.
probably multiple times. Checking out, he sent
Insane.
me. He's been sending me stats occasionally, but he sent me the final stats recently, and far more detail than I was ever expecting. Every fight, notes on every fight.
Wow.
Things such as this is where Falzarin hit Shaft. From damage perspective, all the NPC, all the one shots, amazing stuff. We're not going to get into all that, but I did
Wait,
sort of
one shots
consolidate.
too? That's
One
insane.
shots, everything.
I mean, not insane. That's impressive.
It's an insane amount of work for sure.
Yeah.
And so first off, and I've expressed this to him, but I'll do it again here. Thank you very much for all this. It's really cool just to see it because it's not something I
Thank
would
you,
ever
Ben. I
ever
love
do.
you.
But that being said, we do have the all of the main characters of the show that I sort of put out on Discord to ask people what they thought, who was the character that had dealt the most damage, and which character took the most damage. So everybody sort of put their thing in Discord, but I'm going to ask all of you just out of curiosity before we get there. We'll start with Bill because that's what we're doing today.
So, are we saying characters
Yes.
or
So which of
Characters.
Bryn, Falzarin, Gozer, Shaft, Mia, Shakara? Okay. Of those, which one of those characters dealt the most damage?
okay? Because anytime I've looked at the stats, it's been a cumulative. So, like for Elena, for example, it's been Bryn plus Mia. So,
But those are two different characters.
no, I know. Yeah. My money's on Shaft. Shaft
Okay.
has done some huge damage.
And has never died.
Yeah, well, Falzarin and Shaft have the advantage of being around the longest, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So Elena, what do you think?
I'm just gonna say Mia because I'm cocky. So
I already knew the answer, but I asked just to be pleasant. Emily.
I've seen the data, so I'm gonna.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, you
Leland.
could have looked real smart.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I
I
forgot.
don't remember.
bro strats. Oh no.
I'm gonna guess Mia as well.
All right. So the damage given, the winner is Shaft by not
Yes.
much.
That makes sense.
Now, before I give the answer, everybody tell me what their number is. They think how much damage
Oh
was
my
given in the
goodness.
course of the
Like-
campaign.
Can you give
I
us even like a
don't
clue
know.
of what range it's in?
I would guess
Like what's it above?
Just give me a number, and I'll just say high low from Bill.
1,000?
Much higher.
12,000.
Much lower.
1,100.
So Shaft had
Dick
5,235 points of damage
What?
given.
Wow.
The next closest is Mia. with 5,134.
Very close for not
Holy
being
crap.
around for like
That's
6 or
wild.
7 levels.
Then after that, surprisingly, Falzarin,
Thomas the Pegasus.
4,762.
He's a cockroach. Yeah, how many
How
did
much
the
did
Pegasus
the
take?
Pegasus is? Oh.
Then we, Shikaris, 2,798.
Oh yeah,
Then we
each
go down
zombie.
to
Chad's got a
Gozer.
good point. Every time I channeled.
Gozer,
Yeah.
724, and Bryn, 695. Now, okay, so remember the high point was 5,235. Who had the most damage?
So that's me,
Even
because if you
taken
had
to-
Bryn. Oh, taken?
Shaft,
Mira's
for
AC is
sure.
too high. Yeah.
Who got hit the most?
I'm thinking Shaft did.
I think Shaft as well. Like
And
Shakara and me are too high of an AC. Like
All
I
right.
bet Shaft took somewhere in the
Shakara went
ballpark
down
of
a-
3,000 damage.
but we didn't get
Times,
hit
but
that much.
I think Shaft went down more than Shakara did.
All right.
I think I went down more than Shaft, but I have a higher AC.
Shakara took the most damage
Oh.
of everyone. 1,539.
Is that because of Dendara though? Because
No,
Okay.
Shakara, like, in the beginning, Shakara went down. Like,
Yeah,
I
that's
went
true.
unconscious many times.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Shaft was second, 1,435. Falzarin, 1,176. And
I
Mia,
just never got hit.
1,192.
Yeah, I hardly got hit.
Gozer and Bran were both
You stayed
250
back
and
and did your spells while Shakara went up and was in the melee, like, most of the time.
Okay, so the last thing I was going to say, of all the NPCs, and I'll list the ones that he tracked. I'm not going to give you all the numbers. Just want you to tell me which one took the most damage and which one gave the most damage. So
Brendel gave the least damage.
I can tell you the numbers if you have specifics. Thuft, Brendel, Barry, Grimby, Drake, Slava, Mullen, Halsa, Sparky, Silas,
I'm already
Kula,
forgetting the names you
Braun,
said. All right.
Oric, Kepley, Samuel, and Thuftmar. So those are all, but I'll just give you a hint. It's one of our main NPCs who
Probably
gave
Drake.
the most damage.
Probably Drag. He was in
Yes.
a lot of fights with us.
Grimby.
It got to be Drag.
Grimby or Drag were in the most fights with us, probably.
I'll say
Yeah.
Drag or
It-
Hulsa.
It's Drag by quite a bit.
Okay.
Drag was 341 damage given. The second runner-up, though, is not Grimby, which I thought it would be. Is actually
I would've guessed
Horic.
Grimby.
Horrid.
Horic
Okay.
at 233. Grimby a measly 117. I don't know if he's
Well,
really on our
he
side.
didn't really
really.
have that much airtime, really.
Yeah, Grimby had far too few. It's like way too little airtime. He just wasn't
Yeah.
in the campaign
Yeah.
nearly enough.
All right. And who took the most damage for the team? The NPC that took the most pain and agony for all of us.
Thuft?
Well, Thuff didn't have that many hit points.
I think it was Braun is my guess because Braun got beat up quite a bit.
Mm.
I was gonna agree with Britt
Drag
Drag.
lost a finger though, or whatever.
Yeah.
Fingers.
Man.
All right.
Drag literally lost parts of himself.
Yeah.
I don't
It
know.
is Drag. 286 points of damage for our friend Drag.
Drag.
Oh,
Took a
He
beating.
played a big part in our campaign.
Yeah.
Wow.
And second place, again, Horic, 245. Now, he did get chucked onto a bunch of spikes and carried around.
Yes.
He did.
was-
He had a
was
lot of
collected.
damage. Yeah.
he was collected. Yes. Wow, that means. I mean, that obviously shows that those MPs were most likely involved in more combats than other
Mhm.
NPCs. So obviously,
I would
like
think so, yeah.
Grimby. I mean, I think Grimby was in probably less than 5 combats. So Drag must have been in more than
Yeah.
that.
In the
right?
big fights in Heracleon, like, just kind of never ended for a bit there. I
Well,
don't
and
know.
all of Heracleon, Grimby was stupefied or feeble-minded,
Yeah.
so
Oh,
he's not
the
doing
feeble-
anything.
Poor
the feeble
Grimby.
Grims. I
Yeah.
forgot about
You either
them.
didn't know where he was, or he's just in a bedroom drooling somewhere, looking at the
Yes.
ceiling.
Yeah.
So some honorable mentions. I'd like to say Barry
Hey.
gave 9 points of damage and took 31. So I
Can we
mean,
get a sound
Barry.
effect, Liam?
9.
Can we get a Barry sound effect? Let's do it. Do it. Come on.
Oh man.
Yes.
I miss
And
Barry.
Brendel gave 10 points of damage, but took nothing.
That prick.
So-
He took everything.
What a straight
Brendel.
Screw Brendel.
Man, how many NPCs screwed Falzarin?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Just
I don't
one.
think.
Not in the good
In
way.
non-sexual
Yeah.
fashion. Yeah.
Yep, Brendel, Geneva, Alamar.
I mean,
I mean,
Geneva
technically
didn't-
Shakara in some ways. You turn
Geneva
on.
didn't
I'm not an NPC.
specifically
Keck. Sure,
screw
Keck.
over Falzarin. Like
Is
Geneva
he?
was like more general.
But she was his
There was some
mentor.
deception involved.
Yeah. I mean,
Izzy screwed Falzarin around. I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know that she necessarily like betrayed him or like.
Is this because you were the most gullible, or like what? It just
I think it was because they saw how powerful I was
Mhm,
and figured they would
Yes.
center me out.
Yeah, that's what it
Do
was.
you think Falzarin has grown through the campaign to be less trusting of others?
Yes, but not enough.
Good. That was my goal.
Shaft has definitely helped him learn a little bit to be less naive and less trusting, but he's still gonna make mistakes, I'm sure.
yeah.
It's just the way he is. Can't help it.
All right,
Yeah,
so
those,
that's all.
Those stats are great. It is really cool to have them, and obviously the final stats and numbers will be on the website. So anybody
Yeah.
interested in looking at the full list, of course, that's where you'll be able to find them. Incorrigibleparty.com
That's awesome.
for those of you.
Yeah, that's huge. Thank you so much, Bill Ben. It's really
absolutely.
cool.
Huge.
So
And he said he's going to do it for campaign 2, so
Are you
you know
serious?
he's locked in from the beginning. So
I hope
You
he's
realize
getting
we're
our,
not paying you for this,
I hope
right?
he's getting our checks in the mail. My goodness.
hey, but don't cash them until Friday, otherwise I might bounce.
Rubber checks.
Was there any
Premium platinum pieces.
Was there any moments, maybe we can get one from each of us, that was like a standout moment in the campaign? I will start just to switch things up a little bit. But one of my favorite parts was pretty much every single time I got to play Isabella.
It's a lot of moments.
That's one.
Isabella's voice.
so much.
Yeah, Isabella's voice did change. I mean, in the very first episode, I think I just like pitched my own voice down, and then I don't even know where or how. I don't even remember deciding to change the voice. But even like mid Isabella sounds different than late Isabella, like less
Yeah.
breathy, I think. Yeah, she definitely did change quite a bit.
Mr. Abs. Abs.
I guess that's a bit of a cop out, but my favorite part of campaign was Isabella.
Is there
Just
one
in general, just
interaction
Isabella.
that Isabella had with someone that you remember fondly?
I absolutely loved the last, I think it was 35 minutes of RP with Isabella and Shakara at session 111 Sisters, when everybody but Shakara teleported them to the knowledge center, and it was just Shakara and Isabella. That was such a great exchange between the two of them, as you know, as Shakara is like agreeing to join the coven. I loved that. So good.
Oh crap! I need to re-listen to all
I
the stuff I
swore-
missed, which I haven't done yet.
Swore you were going to say when Shaft and Isabella were in there at the end talking about just random facts. I think you sent a message saying Shaft pisses me off so much, or something.
Yeah,
to that
I was just
effect.
gonna say editing. So not so much during RP, because I guess when I'm thinking, especially with Isabella, it's so easy to RP and know what Isabella would say or think after having been in thought in her shoes for so long. But editing back, listening to Shaft's responses are just so fucking frustrating for me. And I'm just like, why is he why are you doing this or saying this? Just fucking go where I want you to do or say what I want you to do. So frustrating.
Well, Welcome to my life.
Oh man.
So I'm glad I could bring you a little joy.
I can't wait to listen to that. Oh man.
Yeah.
I gotta
so
get on.
good.
I gotta get on listening to it all. All
Well,
the
I mean,
things.
John, do you have a standout moment?
Yes,
Something
I
that like
think-
immediately comes to mind?
I think the thing that probably changed Shaft's life forever within the Asparan campaign has to be the moment that he purchased the shackling shacks. Shafts, shackles of shackling.
Shackling, yeah.
Easy for
Shafts,
you to say.
shacks of shackling.
I think when I read what Leland wrote that they did, I went, "Oh my, this is going to be game breaking."
Yeah, clearly
We
I
forgot
did
about
not
them for
know
a
what
while,
I was
though.
giving you for
How much do you
100
regret
gold
that?
pieces.
Yeah.
We never used them in the way that they were intended to be used.
Chat saying more beer.
Yeah, I'm
Then
working
how
on
much
it.
do you regret those shackles?
I mean, not at all, honestly. Like, you could say something similar to the short sword of oozes, the bronze scaled scimitar, the
Passes
death
without
knight
trace.
sword,
That
like
sword
the
is
the
nice.
you know
My
the
sword.
really powerful weapons and stuff. No, I definitely no regrets. I like it when you as players like make things that fuck me over. It's great. Like, it's perfect.
We really
Well,
did not use them for like in the middle period for a bit. Like we kind of forgot about them in some battles, but we did a better job. Like once we got going.
Yeah, I forgot about them a few times, and I thought about them working backwards occasionally too. I'm going to
Right.
dive off the steps and then go back to Mia. Well,
It's like no,
They're gonna
'cause
hit
Mia
the
has to go to
ground
you.
because-
Yeah. It's only a one-way ticket.
but I think those, from a strategic standpoint, those came in so handy to
Yeah.
be able to have basically the teleport spell available
Yeah.
to you at about any
Right.
time for the
Mhm,
free action or as an action. We bounced back and forth. I think it was a bonus action at some point and an action at other points. And yeah, who knows?
Yeah. So chat's asking if I was surprised at how they were utilized, and I I think yes. Sometimes I was surprised, but when you think about, like, there was kind of the period where they weren't really used much. During that kind of mid campaign period is when the party was going through their most untrustworthy phase and interactions with each other, I think. And it really wasn't until going into the end of chapter 3 where some cohesion really started, which is kind of funny to say considering we had the split and it was like 12 episodes of being apart, which amounts to a very long time in like release schedule that
Yeah.
we weren't together as a party. So that's all. That's kind of antithetical to what I'm trying to say here, but I do think there was a certain cohesiveness that once a few things were kind of, I don't know if worked out. Probably not even. They weren't even worked out. They were more like pushed under the rug for another day. They're kind of swept away and then
There was
dealt
a
with
greater
later.
goal that sort of helped us put the little nitpicky things aside. Yeah.
yeah.
I wonder
Yeah.
how much of that was the fact that we missed playing with each other because of the split. So it was like we just wanted,
The
we
split
were
was
happy to
rough.
play together again.
Well, as far as the split goes, and I know we talked about it in a couple of the last after parties. So not to kind of keep reiterating what we've already said, but I think the split was fun and maybe lasted a little too long. Again, as far as like release schedules go, but also it drastically changed the way the end of the campaign unfolded. I mean, look what happened with the Nyogi and the caves, or the mountain, the Vorgrang mountains,
Yeah.
exploding. That event cut the split short immediately. Like, it forced you all back together, right? Otherwise, there was still a lot of things that could have been done. Like, I know Shaft probably want to do a lot more in Drakal, possibly Shakara as well, but all of that was just like cut short, and it was just so funny going into some of those last recording sessions with Emily and John respectively, with me knowing exactly what's gonna like what and when they're gonna realize that they're in oh shit territory as this pyroclastic flow is rocketing towards the city itself, and like listening to each of you like, okay, I want to try to do this and this and this. I'm like, let's see what you accomplish in the timeline that I know, because it's like if you look at it as a timeline, it's like we're here and I know the volcanic eruption here. Whatever you could fill in this tiny little gap is going to be interesting to see. So it was really fun. It was I guess it was a bit of an experiment for us, which was kind of cool to have something different in our final chapter too. I think for us as players as well, right? I mean, it forced each of us to have different dynamics. Like I know with Bill and Elena, I mean, they were at least together. Mia, I mean, it wasn't Mia and Falzarin.
Exactly.
But
I was about to say.
it was Bill and
Got along
Elena together.
swimmingly. Yeah.
But it was also like, I mean, we chide Bill on kind of his more contemplative way of speaking, which
It's a very kind
really
way of putting it, Leland.
yes,
Oh, wow.
yes, you're very welcome. So it's like just having the two of you. Sometimes there's
He spoke
boy,
the
it's
most
like almost
he had
like
in
a
the whole
one-sided,
campaign.
right? It's almost like a one-sided conversation with the way Mia can go, and of course, I know
Chat is loving the split according to them. Like, they're
well,
saying
I mean,
it was awesome.
I'm glad it went over well. I'm really glad because I also really enjoyed it. I've said before too in past, like I like it when the party split up because I like juggling the timelines. It's really interesting for me as the DM, and it's like an excellent challenge that I like to take on, and that I pat myself on the back, think I excel at.
It was good. It was
as far
good.
as running the game goes. So. Thank you.
Yeah,
So I'm glad
thought
it went
was
over well.
I think we got sidetracked from the memorable moments. Just throwing that out there. Because
We
Bill
did.
and I never got to
We
give
did.
ours. But it's not all about Bill and I, so it's fine.
We'll circle back.
I think the split was a really, really cool thing, and I'm glad we did it. Even though at times, as we've kind of touched on, we missed playing with all of us together, and there were sometimes weeks and weeks that went by where we didn't, it's kind of a bummer that we didn't get to hang out with our friends, as much as we would like to, because every time we record, it's really just us friends hanging out on a certain level.
Right.
So.
Yeah,
But I think for for what it brought and the benefit to the story, definitely worth it.
So
I think
good.
it was really cool.
Harder to pull off around a table is what we're...
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's right. That's a
Definitely.
good point.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good
Definitely
point
would be, yeah.
from the grandfather there. Like, how do you... like, what if you're in someone's house and you're playing in one room where you can't even, like, send people to another room or something?
I've done that before where I've taken people into other
Yeah.
rooms and said things, and it's fun.
Yeah, but sometimes you're playing in someone's one-bedroom apartment. Like, how do you... Yeah.
Going to the
Quiet.
bathroom.
Yeah,
bathroom party. Okay. All right.
Not awkward at all.
How would you feel, Bill? Come on, let's go to the bathroom together. I got something to show you.
I come into my closet.
my.
Let's go roleplay in the bathroom.
7 seconds
There
in
you go.
heaven or 7 minutes in heaven or whatever. No.
We need to have a role play moment.
All right.
Plus,
Well,
I mean, it would have been a lot harder for Kay to hold up that facade with potentially Shaft and Shakara around. So it was perfect.
I
It really was
really
good.
enjoyed the little I have heard where it was just, Falzer entrapped with Alamar in limbo and things like that. Or like I liked that, so I can't wait to listen back. And I think the listener experience is definitely better than, like we said, waiting for a month and not hanging out with each other and feeling a little bit disconnected from each other. But it was still kind of cool.
yeah. Well, Elena, do you have a standout moment?
I do. Thanks for asking. Bryn's standout moment was the solo heist. That was really fun.
Yeah,
I was
that was
just-
fun.
To like kind of plan a solo episode and do the first one of its kind was really fun. And then with that being said, introducing Mia as a new character and having some RP, so that the listener has a little bit of a knowledge before the party met Mia and things like that. I think that's really cool. We've talked about expanding on that for campaign 2. Stay tuned. And then the 2Ks, because I think 3 is inappropriate. The first one being Kralakina, and the second one being
That is funny. They
mean-
both do start with a K. That was not intentional.
So the Kralakina storyline was really cool, and I just liked all the twists and turns. And each time Mia was given the opportunity to spend as much as she felt like was necessary, like it even happened in the last battle, like how many spell slots you want to throw out there and increase your chances and all that. I really liked that mechanic and thought you did a really good job with that. It was really fun to play.
Good. I'm glad.
Made
Yeah,
me feel
that puts a
powerful.
lot of responsibility on your shoulders, a lot of tension, right? Deciding
And
how
it didn't
much.
fail. Okay, I was I deaf or blind or both? I don't even remember. I could see.
Bill?
It's hard for me to choose. There's two things that stand out. One is the portion of time. I mean, a big chunk of it was just one episode where I was in the what's it called, the fugue plane.
Yeah.
Oh,
When
yeah.
Falzarin was dead and Kay had taken over his body, and Falzarin's spirit was, going to be judged, and then just that whole trying to get back to his body. I loved that, and I also loved playing Kay. So I guess that's
You
kind
did a
of
really
all
good
one thing.
job.
It was so much fun. Oh my goodness. So much fun to like have a
Was it
secret.
because you were deceiving Elena?
I
yeah.
like
That was
I could
Oh,
like
yeah.
feel that, like when our recording sessions were done and I was spitballing ideas with him, right, and we're like chatting about it, like I could sense that he felt like he was having such a good time, and like now I get why. Because I would be like, what if, like I literally said to him, what if you're Nyogi or a spy and all these things, and he just like, he really convinced me he wasn't. So that was pretty,
Good job, Bill.
yeah.
It was fun. I feel like it stretched my role playing muscles for sure. Like I had to like, I put a lot of effort into that because like I legitimately didn't want Elena to catch on to the fact that I was deceiving her. So
So you're saying over these last 4 years, you've learned how to deceive your wife so she
Yeah.
has no idea what you're doing, thanks to us.
exactly.
Well, you're welcome, Bill.
No, it was a very fun dynamic to also kind of get a peek behind, to kind of like not really be a co-DM, but talking to Leland
You're planning, yeah.
off mic and behind the scenes. That was fun as well. Just to
Chat
feel
saying
out.
you did a great job.
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
I like that a lot.
Absolutely.
And what do we got?
I got 3 moments
Oh, wow. Okay.
that
Wow.
stand out.
Hit us.
So and I'm gonna go in
Huh.
reverse order. So the third
I
one
agree.
was at the end when Shakara was talking to Isabella, and Isabella was like, "Just give me the eyes and help me," and then I was like, one step at a time, and then I
Oh,
was, like,
yeah.
weighing my options, and that was when I really made the decision. It's like, no, we're not doing this.
It was so tense.
That was great.
Even
Second-
live. I was like one step forward. And like this is, oh, it was so good.
Yeah, I was real happy with the way that came out. Second one was, as Bill Ben pointed out, when Shakara and Alamar were talking, and Shakara ultimately threw the Lich Potion on the ground and broke it, denying him. And then like the whole thing with, we were trying to stop Alamar from what he thought was his best way of saving the planet. And then Shakara basically followed in his footsteps and became
Yeah.
I think I mentioned that at one point.
Wasn't it just
in
Heraklion he cared about?
Trying to save, yeah, and Shakara's trying to save all of Aspara, but like
So that's
doing
a little
very
better.
questionable, evilish things in order to do it. And that just the way that played out was very interesting. And then the third one, however you want to look at it, was Gozer's death. And I listened back to that, and I felt so bad for you three, for Elena, Bill, and John, because I and Leland knew what was going to happen. I didn't want Gozer to survive that, and you all were like, "How do we save Gozer? How?"
Oh man.
And you guys felt bad about not being able to save her, and I'm like, "Let me go."
I felt so much better like when out of combat and like off mic you told us it was planned, because as like a new player as well, I was so like distraught about that. So
Yeah, I felt
you're
so
like,
bad.
you
It's like,
couldn't do anything on purpose. And we're like,
yeah,
oh, okay.
yeah,
It was definitely good to know afterwards that I felt a lot better knowing that that was kind of how you wanted it to go. Because in the moment I was like, oh crap, we don't have anything we can do to save poor Emily's character.
I know.
I mean, that sounds, it was orchestrated, I guess, in a way, but very little of that was done throughout the campaign where somebody came to you, Leland, you tell me, because I only know from my side, but somebody came to you and said, this is what I really want to happen. And then it sort of got worked in, like Gozer's death.
Yeah, no. Really, the only conversation that went down between Emily and I was she's like, I think Gozer as a character is done. Like it's time for her to be gone, and this is the way I think that she would love to go out. And it happened to be like you didn't go out to the Coral Urn to take on Erica because I wanted Gozer to die there. You know what I mean? Like it was just the right time, I think. Right place, right time kind of thing for that, for Gozer to go out there. So, but yeah, you're right. Like, no, there's, I don't know, maybe you want to call that scripted, but the way the fight went out, like this fight, it wasn't scripted. Gozer's actions wasn't scripted. Emily wasn't doing things specifically because
No.
she knew that Gozer needed to do X, Y, Z, right? So
Whoa.
whether
American?
X, Y, Z. Well, that's for our American listeners.
Kind of like when Mia met the party. It's like we kind of have to orchestrate that we're going to be in the city and this is what you're doing, but none of it was like telling us what to say. And
it brought on a thing every time somebody, a number of times later, Shaft was asked about, Shaft would bring up Gozer or something, or somebody that knew Gozer, and they'd always say the same thing: was it a good death? And I always paused as Shaft because it wasn't a good death. She was crushed, right? It wasn't like she went out in a rage of battle, but I always said, yes, it was a good death. But from a Shaft's perspective, a good death for Gozer would have been dying in battle, as a warrior.
Right.
Well, I mean, she was going after Erica, but yeah, she did kind of drown.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. And
Drowning's
Erica did
not a
not
good way.
die in that fight.
No.
Right.
No.
But that's one of those little things, like me as a character always thought about, but you never comes across on a podcast or anything, that moment of, was it a good death? Yes, it was a good death.
Yeah.
But nobody ever questioned what happened, or I would have lied.
Sure. Yeah,
I would have
exactly.
said it would have been a battle.
That's like, it's almost like that's the equivalent of, hey, how you doing? Like social contract wise, you don't go into all the problems that you've been having for the last, couple months or whatever. When someone does that, you as kind of more of a greeting. I think it's almost something kind of similar, but that's a really good point that honestly I didn't think of. Like that, you're right. That wasn't really a great death for Gozer because Gozer didn't get her adversary in that fight. Yeah, interesting. I mean there almost was no conclusion to that chain of events in the Coral Urn, right? I mean, it almost took the whole party out. Like you barely got out in the apparatus of Qualish, those giant crab thingies, right?
Yeah. Yep. No, I was,
What level was Shikara? Oh goodness.
Well, Bryn was 7 or 6. 6.
5 or
So
6.
Her class was Paladin Warlock. So she started as a Paladin goody.
Oh, you had Paladin.
She was good.
Oh, Shikara. I thought you said Gozer. Sorry.
No. Shikara was good.
With the brands, yeah.
And then became Warlock and was not so good. And then became a Hexblood and was even less good.
but sexier.
Right.
Mm.
What level did I get to with Shakara? I'm gonna look it up real quick.
Well, we were all, I think, a total 12. You might have been 6 paladin, 6 warlock.
I
by
thought
the
we were
end.
11.
No, you should have
Were
been
we?
12. If you were 11,
Okay.
you were under-leveled into that last fight.
I don't know. I'd have to look.
So, yeah, I mean,
I probably
Shakara
was.
was, like, super
8.
goody. I mean,
Yeah, 8 paladin, 4 warlock.
oh, 8 paladin.
Only
Okay,
4
that
warlock.
makes sense.
Okay. Wow, there's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, and then, like, session 63, I think it was, Friend of Mine, was the first
Such a
kind
good
of
title.
path that Shakara, I mean, and oh wow,
Campbell?
Thank
Yeah.
you. That Shakara and Campbell were kind of led down with, you know, the sapphire box showed up at Campbell's shop, was meant for Shakara, and Shakara got the first visit from Dendar, which ultimately turned out to be actually a fabrication by Isabella. So,
Oh.
and then
Man, I need
you
to
know,
listen back.
50 episodes later, Shakara's joining the Coven in session 111, right? Like, that's why I
I
like
ask-
Isabella. Isabella's just fun.
Can I ask you a question?
Real quick.
Okay, sorry.
She was an Oath of an Ancients paladin and became a Oathbreaker paladin. So she was still paladin, but evil paladin. Okay.
Right.
Well, I just want to turn the tables on to Leland, if that's okay. Do we have more memories to talk about?
Well, Leland hasn't. Did you do?
He
you
went
did
first.
yours
Liz started. Yeah.
Oh, so everybody's done theirs? Because I have one more before you
Go. Yeah.
The most, I think we all will agree, the most emotional moment of the entire campaign: the death of Thuft.
That was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But also,
We're
we
tough.
did that. Anyway.
Unexpected.
Well,
Everybody
very
was
unexpected.
very emotional at that particular moment,
It was unexpected. I think that's why. Yeah.
and I think we
Not a
probably
good
all
death.
mourned that episode when we finished more than any other character does in the entire.
Well, just no one wants to go in an exploding burst of pustules.
That is not a good death.
Well, I mean, you know what they say: a watched stuff never boils. If you had watched
That's
them,
right.
maybe you wouldn't have boiled.
Yep.
and fucking Brendel.
Oh yes, that betrayal. Oh,
And listening back, like there's so many things.
we should have
like,
known.
Brendel missed this, and I'm like, by then we were all like, especially in the Coral Lands, none of us really trusted Brendel
Even
anymore, I
Geneva.
don't think, and we were like, he's freaking useless, Brendel, but we didn't realize the extent of the betrayal. But listening back, it's like so many little signs about it.
Do you guys think that we'll be better at picking up Leland's hints
No.
in the next?
No.
Okay, I was
No.
gonna say I don't really think so either.
Yeah.
No.
I think we'll be better at taking notes. I don't think we'll be better at understanding them.
I really think I would take better notes if I could type, but the recording and talking and typing just doesn't really mix. You know.
No, I planned to note take when I
Mhm.
listen back later.
Ooh, that is
Yeah.
smarter.
Yeah, I think
Big
that's the way to
brain.
go.
Yeah, that's true. I often listened while I was commuting or whatever, so that makes it kind of like impossible to take notes, but
Me too.
I think I might change that up moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Well, my question for Leland was going to be in regards to the story and like character backstory and just sort of weaving this web of Aspara, which literally I think at one point John and Emily did have like the red yarn type like dry
A
erase
whiteboard,
board
yeah,
situation
lines
going on. When it comes to introducing someone like Mia, and Shaft's already been in the story, but then later it's revealed Shaft had a bounty for Braun and things like that. Like, how does that, like, it couldn't have been in place from the beginning. So, like, what's your process with
That
that
was
sort of stuff?
originally for you, by the way.
Okay, so it was for Bryn?
I-
Yeah.
So Bryn's dead,
So
so then you
okay,
just
so
transfer it. Yeah.
I'll let
no,
you
no,
answer
no,
all
that's
this.
not what I mean. That's not what John means. But so obviously I had it all planned right from the very beginning, and I just incepted
Obviously.
you into creating Mia. Come on. But so when it comes to
You
kind of
guys
that
did
kind of
kind of
stuff,
tell me to be a cleric, so I went with it. But anyway.
well, when it comes to kind of filling in those gaps and making those connections later on with, like you said, yeah, obviously, we have characters that didn't exist when we were RPing something. So how could that possibly have been something? Well, obviously not, right? That's literally impossible. But
Well, I realized
Shaft,
that.
the character of Shaft was in a good position. The way John kind of concepted Shaft was to be more of a mystery. And as we had with the back shafts that we got to do, a number of them, I think at least 3 or 4, we unfolded Shaft's backstory that way, with kind of the flashback kind of way, rather than, well, I would say in addition to, as we got later into the campaign, but in addition to, you know, him having direct tie-ins to the people you're meeting, because like we didn't spend very much. We spent like a couple episodes in Drakal right at the beginning, and then we didn't get back there until the last chapter of the campaign, right?
Yeah.
So there was less opportunity for Shaft as a character, for that character's background to be incorporated into kind of what's going around in the world now, or at least I should state it a little differently. Less opportunity to show the rest of the party and the listener how Shaft was incorporated into the world, because, you know, many of the things that John wanted to do with Shaft, we had the opportunity to involve some of the other characters as, again, they're playing out. And what John meant was the original idea of that was that the bounty was on specifically Mia's head, and
Oh, okay.
so there was potential a scenario that Shaft would try to orchestrate getting Mia back to Detmer to collect on the bounty, or so. Those are some of the kind of the conversations that often John and I had about kind of a direction that we wanted to take Shaft, in a way to show the listener, as the podcast is progressing, Shaft's backstory. So that was kind of the route that we both agreed was really interesting for us to do. And I think John, I assume, had a lot of fun thinking up those
You
ideas.
did love my last
and-
name. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, there was a Backshaft episode where I take the bounty and it says Brightwood on it in the paper, but we didn't say which Brightwood. It just said Brightwood.
Yeah.
And then there was another moment, I think, one time when you said, "I'm Mia Brightwood," and I go, "Never heard of you." And you know,
Definitely did. Yeah.
those kind of things was fun for, you know, like Leland gets to know all this stuff. That was fun for me because I get to know, you know, little pieces of things I was trying to do that hopefully would come out. But then the whole Braun thing sort of happened, and it sort of made a lot more sense, I think, in the story.
I don't even remember who wanted me. Anyway.
There was a
Hannah.
bounty out on you for Hannah. Hannah
Hannah wanted me.
Okay, we
She
can
got
get into
Braun.
that.
There's a
We
lot
can-
we don't know. Let's
Yeah,
just
there
get
is.
into Leland splurging
Okay.
all the secrets.
That's
here.
right.
Let's-
Yeah, I'm
This
sorry.
is what we're here for.
Let's okay. So, I mean,
kinda
a
need
lot
a
of kind of the
bathroom break.
things that you could potentially have uncovered that may have impacted the direction of the story. Like, most of it is like kind of more conceptual than like fine-grained details, obviously, right? Because as I'm prepping the campaign, I'm not detailing every single thing that may or may not happen. The details really get fleshed in when we get closer to something actually happening. But do you all remember Dorset Salvage?
Yes.
Yes.
How could I
Yeah.
forget?
Right.
Before you continue,
Sure.
the Leelander has been redeemed.
Oh,
good
Come
night.
off, baby.
You both need a
Oh.
drink too. John, hydrate.
I do
Oh, I'm
have
sorry.
to-
You're watching Leland disrobe. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt that.
Leelander
Does
redeemed.
anyone
Oh,
care if I
baby.
step away for a restroom break?
Nah, give her.
Monster's fault.
If
I
you're
want to hear
going
the
I'm going
secrets
to
though.
too. So
Yeah,
I was
okay, well,
listening on
Secrets
let's-
that
the,
thought, as if we're really recording without
All
being
right,
live.
let's take a quick break.
take
Those
two.
staying, entertain the chat.
Yeah.
Ah, wait. I didn't agree to this.
wow. That's what I've been drinking the most, and I don't have to pee. How about you,
Under-
Bill? You good? What are you drinking?
Non-alcoholic. It's diet time, unfortunately.
I'm drinking alcoholic. I bought these down at our local liquor store. I like the darker beers.
I thought it said cream ale.
It does say cream ale. It's,
Oh, okay. I like cream ales. Yes.
Yeah, it's backwards. Yeah, me too. I enjoy it.
Elena's
that-
typically not a fan. She likes the IPAs, which is too much for me.
I don't care for IPAs. Most of the time, they're fruity. I don't
Too
like
much
fruity
hop
beers.
and zing and yeah.
John, have you? Let's talk in the chat here while we're. John, have you had Mad Elf. No, I have not had Mad Elf. Is that a darker beer? I tend to like the darker, chewier beers. I don't know why. I think it's because of my German heritage. The Bill Lander. How do we get? Can we? Bill, can you take your shirt off? The chat's asking.
I just did.
What about the Mia Brightwood?
That shirt's so good.
How do I wait?
I should get one of them.
Get Bill to eat some Marmite.
How do they do the back arm? What does this arm do?
Arnold's
Actually,
rolling in his grave.
I don't know how to do it.
We had the Marmite here at the house, and I think Emily gave it away.
Oh yeah, we got the dyslexia shirt on in there. Yep.
It's
All right.
the problem with Marmite, I think, my problem with Marmite is that I spread it as though I was spreading like peanut butter or jam, which
Hey,
you're supposed
use
You
to have
laid
way
it
too
on
much.
thick.
You're supposed to have a very, very thin layer. So, yeah.
I thought it was good.
Cough drop number 5 of this podcast, so that I don't die.
Speaking of voices changing,
Uh-oh.
Akara was a lot breathier in the beginning. And
Yeah.
I had to take
Was she?
much bigger breaths to be able
Really?
to. Oh, yes.
You chose hard voices. Like Gozer, you started with her saying so little that you had to like keep it up.
Gozer was hard for me because I talk fast
The
a lot.
intelligence, yeah.
And just Gozer, the choice with her was she wasn't dumb. She just didn't talk much. She didn't feel a need to say anything to anybody. And if you didn't know, that's your own stupid fault. So, but that was really, really hard for me.
Yeah. Well, I do think though, like it did feel like Gozer's intelligence did reduce because at the beginning, Gozer didn't really have a voice, but you found a voice for Gozer when Gozer chose to speak, which kind of interesting because again, I was listening to
Mia's
back
voice
to
changed.
some like episode like 6 and 7 a while back, because I think I mentioned on one of the after parties sometimes as part of my preparation, especially with as long running as our campaign went, I'll listen back to older episodes when we've been, back to when we were to an area. Like the last time we were, maybe it was like 50 episodes ago, maybe it was 100 episodes ago. In the case of the end of the campaign, 200 episodes ago, I was listening back to when we were at the Zex and K, right, to make sure details that I laid out before are still there and continuity wise and stuff. So yeah, it is really interesting listening back to some of the older episodes and like seeing how we've all changed or found a voice for our own character, or in my case, some of the NPCs. It's really interesting. Really interesting. All right.
I have a question for Leland real quick.
Sure.
Which NPC did you think was going to be something that was just a Passover thing that ended up being a main NPC that you did not expect?
Two immediate things. First one, by far, Grimby Chum. I mean, Grimby was a throwaway captain that you met in the docks at Port Pisces.
Shaft
and
almost killed him in the Quirlern. We were
Right.
I listened to that one. We
Yeah.
were floating by on those crab things, and he saw him floating there with a thing on his face. He's like, "Oh well, let's just squish him and put him out of his misery."
Oh, that was Grimby?
That was Grimby.
That was Grimby and Greg down there. Because they were on
Yeah.
the rising starfish that got shipwrecked by the Infinite Storm.
Ah,
And they were down
Right.
in Coral Urn. Yeah. So,
Did
but
we
for
know
sure,
that?
Grimby-
We
I
just
immediately
forgot,
thought of
or-
Dreg, right? Because Dreg was supposed to be Matthew Jude, which is for sure a one-off.
Dreg also. So I knew Dreg. Well, yes, in the inception of Dreg just kind of became different as a result of not actually that role at the time of his introduction, not being an NPC guest, because like really the purpose of Dreg in that instance, and which would have been for the NPC guest, in this case Matthew Jude's guest spot, who turned into his own fun and interesting character,
Thunder,
which was
yes.
Thunder McScruggins. But like, at the time, Dreg's thing was to get you to basically back to the city, and he took you to that illusory rock down
To get
the
in, yeah.
steps to get he used his ring to get through the safety shell, etc. So that was his role, and obviously, yeah, that expanded clearly into far, far more than I realized. I mean, even somebody like Campbell, which is just like Shakara was like, I think or Emily was like, I think I would know, like I would know somebody in this city. Like this is one of the places around that I would have probably frequented in the time that I've been out trying to get my great deeds. And okay, great. The local potion shop dude. come by to the Golden Ichor. I mean, and that was when Shakara met the party. She was out collecting herbs and ingredients for Campbell.
Good
right?
question.
That's why she was at the shore.
Good question.
So
in
yeah,
the chat there.
quite a number.
What was the biggest NPC flop? You had big plans and it just didn't happen.
Oh yeah, that's interesting.
Infinite Hero.
Well,
You know
maybe
what?
Jessica hardly was in the campaign.
Yes, Jessica is definitely.
Shakara didn't even meet her till the final
Yes,
battle.
Right?
exactly. So let's get back to kind of the things that were missed, because Jessica is one of those things. Okay,
gonna
so
take
Dorset
notes.
Salvage. Yeah, so you all remember
yeah,
Dorset
sorry.
Salvage.
Dorset Salvage. Okay.
That's where you stole the apparatus of Qualish to go out into the Coralern from. Their kind of thing was they were, as they said, they were a salvage company that went out and collected things from the shipwrecks due to the Infinite Storm. So the owner of Dorset Salvage, a woman named Henrietta Dorset, and she is a human, but she's nearly 2 centuries old. So she traded her child to Isabella in exchange for lasting success and wealth. And that
What?
She's evil.
that was basically physicalized by the Infinite Storm, made to continuously cause shipwrecks, so Dorset Salvage will always be in business, kind of thing.
Oh,
Way.
And that
Did they
Traded
child,
her
After
child
the-
for a freaking hurricane.
and that
Infinite
child
hurricane.
became Erica Good.
what the
Yeah.
hell?
So Erica as a hag was quite young, especially compared
Chat,
to
are you
Isabella.
like,
Wait,
this is
Who
insane.
did,
I love this.
she
Is
gave her
what I'm
child
here
to
for.
who?
Izzy?
Oh. Oh.
Izzy raised Erica. It wasn't like a sister.
Well,
Oh,
I mean,
man, that's
one of the ways
crazy.
that a hag can be created is hags will steal children and then
Children.
put them through the process of
I didn't know
becoming a
that.
hag.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. You're
Yeah.
even more twisted than I realized. Liam.
It's messed up, but I wanted to see behind the
But the-
curtain
oh,
this whole
so she-
time.
How would that have ever came out?
Izzy wanted to kill Erica, who basically was her own kid in
Yeah,
a way.
when Erica
Yeah.
says,
Adopted
"Mama,
child.
how dare you?"
So
Wow.
that would have come out if you had interacted more with people at Dorset Salvage. Maybe you had gotten caught trying to steal the apparatus of Qualish. When the Infinite Hero was assassinated by Shaft's associate, that you chased him down into the underground, that was below Dorset Salvage. Maybe
Yeah.
you could have
True.
interacted somewhere down there. So
wow.
that might have given you more of an insight. It just would have given you information kind of about Isabella that maybe you could have leveraged. So when it comes to Jessica, she's much older than Erica, almost as old as Izzy, but Jessica was mainly doing her thing in the Phaleran Force before she kind of joined up with Izzy, and she of course is as far as the party knows directly tied to the city of Victor and the sickness in Victor, which actually wasn't a sickness. There was no actual illness or anything going around there, but the kind of madness of the people that were infected by the sickness that were experiencing was a result of Jessica infiltrating their dreams and essentially manipulating them, which we saw she did to Gozer when the party was camped outside of Victor, very close to the
Oh,
city.
yeah.
And Bryn
Yeah.
was in. Okay.
Yeah. So what Jessica was doing is she's driving these people to the point of fits of violence and evil acts or tendencies so she can harvest their soul into the little fleshy soul bags and use it as a power source for Tinderman's constructs. So that's what she was doing there. So you could have, you could have uncovered that too, and you might have killed Jessica before even really realizing what Isabella was or what she was doing. So
Oh,
the
wow.
mayor.
So the masks did nothing. The cures.
No,
were
that was
snake
all
oil.
just. So
Oh
that was
my
all
gosh.
just fake news purported by the mayor of Victor, because the mayor made a deal with the Coven at the time.
So yeah, what's with the tower?
To keep Victor protected from the effects of the towers, and the Thuff's Mountain, the goblinoids in Thuff's Mountain as well, which is very close to the city of Victor. So that's why you saw how messed up Goldem got, but Victor stood as if nothing happened. I mean, they were experiencing this sickness, but the city itself wasn't being bombarded by the same types of creatures that were driven by the blue light towards Goldem. And so part of that arrangement to keep Victor safe was Jessica freely operating in the big tower that they built for her. And at the top of that tower was that oversized hag's eye, which it didn't really come about to be explained that it was a hag eye, but that thing in the very end fight in the keep, it's something that like a coven can make. Really, it's a hag's eye, right? It allows coven members to peer through the eye. And in the case of this one, I kind of made it this extended oversized one so it could see like by a couple of miles. So it was at the top of this tower where it could survey around the whole city. So in one of the very first after credit scenes where Isabella portals to the tower and visits Jessica and she's stitching her bag together, Jessica mentions that she saw the party come and go, and then Isabella says, well, play with whoever you want, but just leave the wizard for me, kind of thing, in those very early after credit scenes. So again, when it comes to Goldem, like obviously Mayor Blake Lakely didn't have such a deal with the coven, or at least as far as he knew, he kind of took the route of hiring out somebody to take down the towers, right? Which was really the cause of the problems that Goldem was having. But we also learned, the party kind of later learned, that really wasn't Blake Lakely's choice, right? Or thought. It was more of a suggestion passed through Blake Lakely by Isabella to, contact Detmer to hire out as kind of one of Isabella's many like fail-safes ways for her to potentially get the eyes of Dendar if her dealings with Samuel maybe went sideways or Samuel wanted to double cross her and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Isabella had so many tendrils out. So many different things she was manipulating.
Was she from the beginning like the big bad? Like,
she was a hag right
from the beginning. She was the center that it all expanded upon from.
Well, I don't know if she was like the center. Obviously, she was a huge part of everything, but right from the outset, like the building the campaign, it was more like there's three major things to be tackled: the Paladins, the Coven, and the Cult of Kralakina. And then I think we've talked before, like the Paladins and the Neogi are kind of tied together, right? So maybe 4 if you want to separate the Neogi. But they're all just connected, right? Obviously, Erica's has had an association with the Cult of Kralakina, which resulted in this fallout between her and the rest of the Coven, which was ultimately the deciding factor of Isabella wanting Erica ousted. Yeah.
I had a feeling that's why she wanted Erica out. I didn't realize it was like kicking your own child, creation, whatever. But... Okay, what else don't we know? This is fun. Chat's loving it too. They're asking if you would consider putting your like notes or the lore fully onto the website.
The funny thing about my notes is like they're not great notes. Like you could not run an adventure based off of my notes, right? They're not. If I were to like try to put together an adventure that could be run, I would have to change the way I make my own notes. But also like the thing is about my notes, a lot of the things that are in there are these things that the party, either by decisions they make, well, I guess it's always by decisions they make, and the outcomes and the consequences of those decisions result in much of that stuff just never occurring, like what we're kind of discussing. So, and then when I have to pivot, all of the stuff that I'm pivoting to aren't in the notes, right? So it's like, it's not all there is the problem. Like,
wow.
It's not our fault.
So when it comes to like Isabella's fail safes, it kind of turned out that the party themselves was one of her fail safes, right? Or really whomever may have accepted that first bounty on the Arcanist, which happened to be another one of Isabella's suggestions, but that one kind of went more through Samuel and Samuel's relationship that Samuel Coltis had with Detmer. As you know, Detmer was kind of like, think of it like, I mean, obviously Detmer is like not a paladin of Coltis, but Samuel just uses Detmer almost as his own influence in the North, right? Whereas when the campaign first started, the paladins weren't active in the northern part of Aspara, right? And then obviously we see, though, it didn't take much as far as like monetary incentives for Detmer to try to take on or facilitate something that would line his pockets that went against the paladins. And again, and once the party got back to Drakal, we saw the consequences of Detmer trying to facilitate something like that, of his immediate removal from his position in Drakal and shift off to who knows where. Paladins move in, Sally's at the Tickly Servants, etc. Right?
Oh, Sally! I forgot about Sally. Someone is asking, Leland, have you considered that many of your NPCs are a-holes?
They do seem like most of them are, aren't they?
Or is it that we are the a-holes in dealing with our party of a-holes?
Kirby and Halsa, and actually Kula, I wouldn't say were a-holes.
Because she couldn't say anything. Oh, no, that's Hulsa.
Yeah.
Never mind.
What was Kula's buddy's name? He was an a-hole.
Oh,
Igna.
the one you killed.
Igna got
Yeah.
Ord, and he deserved it, damn it.
The Ord.
Or real bad.
Oh. Oh, yeah, Mia trying to flirt on the... Oh, my gosh. So much happened. I just love this.
Oh, that was too
Turns
good.
out when you play for 4 years, a lot
A lot of shit
happens.
happens. Yeah, a lot happens.
You know,
How long was the game?
Like at game time, yeah.
Real
Actual
life.
world time.
Oh, boy, a couple
Aspara
months
time.
maybe. Yeah,
2
maybe
months.
a couple months.
In 2 months, we got to level 12. Dang.
Wow.
Yeah.
We,
yeah.
we
Pretty
definitely
good
didn't take
progress.
long. We didn't take long.
Yeah, how many long rests did we have? 2?
We
you
didn't
know,
take long breaks, or
as small of a world as it is, we didn't see most of it.
yeah.
No.
As someone who's currently making the map back here of the world of
Phalanx
Aspara,
Forest.
we never went to Flora. We never went to your hometown. We never went to Altenshik. There, what is it, Opium Silva? We've never went. Most of the southern part of the map we never went into, other than popping into
Yeah.
Samuel's place for a little while and causing some
Allegedly.
havoc. Allegedly,
Oh.
right?
The doppelgangers were fun
We
to
didn't.
play.
I'm waiting for Shakara to find that Palaboys on
On Grimby's ship.
on
on Rising Sun.
Grimby's under Grimby's mattress.
I think
be into
Leland
that.
was saying it was about 2 months. Is that what you're?
Yeah, I'd probably like 2 to 3, maybe. I mean, at some point, I just like, it's hard to keep track because I did try to keep a day tracker in the early parts of the campaign, but I don't know, things just kind of spiral and you get backed up on it, and then you're so far behind, you're like, how do I even catch up
I wanna
on
get
this
back up.
tracker?
Yeah.
So that definitely is something that I need to be better about when we go into campaign 2. So there's lots of things that I definitely learned as the dungeon master, things that I can do better that may or may not come out in play, but like for on my side, for the things that I see will be better, and just giving myself better tools essentially to run the game.
Yeah, and like we said, we're gonna try and do better about taking notes ourselves, and maybe we won't miss as many of Leland's hints and insinuations.
We're
Definitely.
aiming to be a party that tells each other stuff. I think.
Yeah, we're gonna try
would
and
be
actually
nice.
like each other,
Share some
and-
info.
and cooperate, and
Where's the
I don't
fun in
know.
that?
I don't know if we can do it.
We're-
We've
we
had
have-
4.5 years of not doing it.
We have lots of questions coming in, but I also want to know more secrets too. So we just don't want to
Well-
forget these questions.
Well, go with the questions.
Emily, you wrote one down so we don't forget. Did you not?
just the difficulty of having the guest NPCs on there, and was it worth it? And I think it's just a scheduling issue. Is like you were saying once point in time, Leland, you never really know where we're going to be when the guest NPC joins us, and just planning at what point in time they're gonna, like, with their schedule and our schedule and everything. It was really difficult to guide the story to an appropriate place.
I'm saying I'm glad we did it, but I think it made it's sort of like this little offshoot of the story. It's almost like it was sort of shoehorned in a way.
Side quest or yeah.
I think great things came from it. There's some great memories, oaring people and all the different things that happened. But I think it sort of is like it's like a forking path for a little while before we go back to the main campaign.
I agree that I'm glad we did them. Yes, it was a struggle kind of figuring out what information to give them because yes, like Emily said, really not knowing where we're going to be as far as our last recording, which obviously isn't our last episode that released, right? Because we always have more recorded than what's getting released. So that was a struggle, but also kind of figuring out just how much to give them because it's not really fair to rely on them and put that responsibility on a guest's shoulders to be the driving point of whatever time they spend on rides. So I think we did a fine job. I think all of our guests, we've all enjoyed having our guests. They were great. But I will say though, I don't think we really veered too much away from what was currently going on with the guests. And definitely nothing detracted. So I think overall it was just fun to do. It was fun to have them on. I think we've talked before. If we're going to have guests on in the future, it would be probably best for everybody, including the guest, as far as having fun, to have them on for like a one-shot, a guest one-shot kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Rather than insert them into the main campaign. Because like then, the thing comes like heck, like, or a character that you really like. Like Roll and Write, like they can't become recurring. They can't recur. Even though they're so you have to give them enough.
Peck could.
Well,
you could share a mic in a little office together. And
any of them could, you know what I mean? But like, there's less flexibility for them to recur. So you have to give them enough information. It all has to happen in this bubble, which when we're recording normally, we don't have to worry about that. Now, maybe this campaign would have been 100 episodes shorter if we had worried about recording and doing things in a little bubble. Maybe, just saying. I don't know. Just put it out there.
And then we got question about the dark folk. So I think like the darklings.
The darklings?
Yeah, so what are your thoughts about their political and ecological niche in Aspara? So let's get some secrets on the darklings and their role in this
Yeah, I think the darklings were cool. I don't think as a people they weren't very well thought out on my part. But
did you make them up? Or are they from?
They're
one of the
introduced
books?
early.
No, they're in like Volo's Guide to Monsters.
Okay.
I think.
They were introduced very early, right? They
well, they were.
Applebee's, that fight and.
Yes, you're right. They're underneath Aspara. Yeah, that was like episode 13 or some 13, 14 where you actually the party met the Darklings. Yeah,
people were KO'd and getting carried by them. It was just like
So they were always an agent of Hannah's machinations. That was kind of from the outset. Hannah always was going to be a Lamia. She definitely was not. She started out as being what she was. She turned out to play a different role than what might have happened. But really the Darklings, they're the whole thing about the Darklings is they enjoy fine art. Like that's kind of the culture of pieces like that is what they kind of latch onto and glom onto. And then they kind of also have the sunlight sensitivity, which can literally just kill them if they're exposed to too much of it, right? Which I tried to like merge the two and show them incorporated. And obviously born out of that kind of culture, Jolvi was made, it just made sense. Of course they're going to have a
barn
bard.
jams.
Yeah.
So was Jolvi always like, there's always a Jolvi? Was that from the very beginning?
Leland
Or did
just
that
came
come
up with
with
No,
that.
no,
That's
that
on the fly. Come on.
I was like, okay, they're going to a theater. Of course we got to do a Phantom of the Opera type thing.
Yeah.
It's going to be another Jolvi. Like that just fell into my lap.
That theater fight was interesting because I felt really targeted and I didn't know why, and it totally makes sense now knowing Hannah had a bounty on me. Like
Right.
Anyway.
So okay.
So much.
So the whole Hannah thing. Hannah, yes, Hannah had basically a bounty. She wanted Mia back to Drakal because Hannah had a deal with the Neogi, which is also another reason why kind of the Neogi weren't deep seated in Drakal. I mean, it's the closest city to the mountains. Like, why wouldn't they be there? So Hannah, and by extension the Darklings, had this deal where people were getting abducted and they were filtering thralls to the Neogi, which the party almost became one in the back of that wagon that would have taken them into the mountains, right? So so that's kind of what kept Drakal safe-ish from the Neogi. And eventually the kind of people ran out and Hannah was kind of forced to give the Neogi the Darklings. And that obviously happened when the party was away from the city. But basically the Neogi, so that Neogi that Mia first met in her introductory episode
And
at
I
that
let him
crashed
live.
Neogi ship, and you let him live, he had the deal with Hannah so he wanted you as a thrall because you're so powerful, and that's where the bounty came from, and that was using Hannah as an agent to get Mia back to Drakal so she could be handed to the Neogi. So it happened that Braun was in the city, and he's a Brightwood. What better thing to bring Mia back to the city than her captured brother, kind of thing, right?
Right.
So that's how that
great.
all unfolded and how that was kind of connected.
Yeah.
Which, so again, like at the theater,
It works.
Hannah still wanted you. Hannah still wanted Mia, right? Because she needed to hold up her end to the Neogi. Otherwise, everything she'd enjoyed, her station in the city, is in peril. Is there's a danger to it. So that was her motivations for that.
Interesting. And that was just like a random choice in the moment. I was like, okay, I guess I'll just let this guy go. Promise to keep my family safe, and it spirals into okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, I hope it's clear through the campaign as you're listening that, the choices that you players make end up being impactful.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, if you had killed him, maybe that might not have happened with Hannah, right?
More secrets.
Well, I mean, obviously,
Tell
most
us
of there's not many like secret, but like John said, there's a lot of the continent of Aspara that we just didn't see. I mean, all of the Philaran forest, Thuff's mountain, right, where Thuff came from.
Oh, the gold.
The elevator.
Really? Well, yeah, we got a little bit in there. Yeah, our very first NPC guest. What is that? Session 17 and 18 into the Hillier part 1 and 2 with Patrick Hillier. Yeah.
We almost all died on the elevator. So
yeah, you almost did. You got a taste of it, right? You got a taste of it. But even like the Neogi cave system, if things had played out differently, the party may have spent way more time in the mountains, just them. So, I feel like there's almost like there's a point of convergence you can kind of roll back to, and really it's like the decision to prioritize the tower drop or not. I feel like is the first forking path that set the party on their trajectory. So had the party at the time maybe wanted to make the tower job a priority, which we were pretty close to doing. I mean, we kind of got sidetracked, I think, by the Coven stuff, right? By dealing with Erica was really what sidetracked everybody. But, once Thuft had joined up with King Gozer, and maybe you had went back into the mountain, there's a hobgoblin general in there that, commands the goblinoid forces, and he had an interest in whatever artifacts are powering these towers. Clearly they had some kind of power. And there was another post-credit scene of that army marching towards the tower, past Victor towards those towers. Now, there would maybe have been opportunities for the party to team up with that hobgoblin general, right? As if Thuff took you back to the mountains kind of thing. And with their aid, you could have had a whole goblinoid army at your back assaulting these towers, right? And figuring out, the blue light is incredibly detrimental to us, right? Yeah. So that could have spiraled. And had that stuff happen...
We never really tested it. We just knew it was bad.
Had that stuff happened, you would have obviously been an enemy of the Paladins of Cultus, which potentially could have driven you to the Philaran Forest, where you for sure would have found allies against the Paladins there. So you might have met, a faction or groups of people there that, again, would be willing to help you maybe go down to that southern part of Aspara where the paladins completely control. So there's just so much stuff that could have, would have, should have, right? And this is just how the story unfolded with the decisions that the party was making.
Wow. Really interesting.
So tell us about the mountains.
So
Tell us about. I want to hear stuff. Shaft's backstory. Let's get some back Shaft. What happened in the mountains?
Well, you can go back and listen to
What
that.
happens
Oh,
in the
like
mountains
the listener
stays in the
knows.
mountain.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
All right.
It was a great job by the DM. So much thinking on your feet and going with the moments. And I think you did a really great job with that, Leyland.
Balzerin's
Yeah,
death was all spur of the moment. Pretty sure we've talked about it in other after parties. Like you just,
Yep.
whew,
Yeah,
can't
I
believe
mean,
it.
I
Not
knew
planned by me.
Right. I mean, obviously,
Anyway,
I knew
I don't know if
Thuff
Leland
the
had plans.
Younger. Thuff the Younger was going to be there in the vicinity. I knew what role Thuff the Younger played because I mean, you had seen him. He was the goblin at
NPC.
the cave that you wall of force when you ambushed the Nyogi forces there with with Clash and Horik and some of his forces. The Clashers, I think we called them.
Yeah.
So, and obviously Thuff the Younger was a patron NPC creation by Skjom. So, yeah, I don't know. It just all kind of like, again, it's just like, I really feel like I'm not doing anything. It just falls into my lap. It's just, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just luck.
Crap. Falzarin's broom. What's his
Denny.
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 How game breaking
Also-
was Denny?
Honestly, not much. I do kind of wish we got to do a little more with Denny. Maybe I don't know. That was again another patron SBC creation by Britt. Yeah, I know. Denny was great. Denny's just fun, and of course, what better thing to give Falzarin than a flying broom? I mean,
Yeah.
And even the animated tattoos
Dreams come true.
were inspired, right?
I never got to
Sort of
use
thing.
mine.
Yeah, just really cool.
I got to use mine in one that you guys didn't get to listen to. I got to use
you
Barry
did.
number 2.
Your badger.
I
Barry
will
the
be going
Badger.
back to listen now after all these secrets are coming out.
I was
Uh,
always a little bit weary of using Denny too much. Like, fall damage is a real thing, man. So
I mean, yeah,
I
you
was
could be
always
casting Featherfall and hopping on him. Like that's easy enough.
Falchion doesn't have Featherfall.
Oh right, you like have to learn spells compared
Yeah.
to my cleric list.
So
Okay.
that was always in the back of my mind anytime I used Denny. Like I was very cautious of not getting carried away.
Do you feel like making your backup spell book and all this stuff was just like you were overly nervous about it? Like if you were to play another wizard, would you be making a backup spell book? Or scribbling scrolls? Like you never even sold any of them.
I didn't. Fairly early on, I decided to transition from like creating scrolls to sell them to focusing all of my time on my backup spell book. So that's why I didn't sell any scrolls because I didn't really make any. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, can you imagine a wizard losing their one and only spell book? That's pretty bad. So I don't know.
Well, I think like something like the spell book. I find that in my opinion that's how a lot of equipment kind of falls into. It doesn't matter until it matters, and until like I want to do something like take your spell book. Like when Falsey got abducted by the 5-toed toad and taken to Isabella, like she had your spell book, right? I mean, you did ultimately get it back, and it didn't really impact things. But like you got it back with an extra spell because you got your scabulet and that kind of stuff. So like it doesn't matter till it matters. You know what I mean?
What was Izzy's deal with that scabulet, and was it two-way? Could she listen in on what
Could
we
she
were
hear us?
saying?
Good
Please
question.
tell
Like a
us.
walkie-talkie.
Please.
Yes, that's important.
It definitely was 2-way.
Yes.
I knew it.
She
So
was
she could hear
fine.
everything we
Yeah.
were saying.
Damn
Hold it.
Falzarin megaphone.
No way.
Talked about so much stuff in front of her, and then we were like, she probably, yeah, oh man.
Oh, I shouldn't be surprised, but I am.
Leland, diabolical. Just die.
So
So you knew I left, and that's how you like knew to go take him when I left, when Bryn left.
He didn't have
Oh.
the scapulet yet.
Oh,
have
that's
Scabblet then.
pre-scabulet? Okay, sorry.
that was pre-Scabulet. Yeah, that was pre-Scabulet.
Okay.
So, again, when your solo session, you might have been with Falzarin, right? We've talked about that before. If you were with him, he might not have been abducted. You might have been able to stop it. But you all chose the rooms you chose. You divvied up the rooms the way you did it. Each, there was could be something going to each room to put an obstacle in front of, each party member to attempt to get Falzarin abducted. If you had stopped it, I mean, you would have stopped it. Like, it's not, I wouldn't have made it happen just to make it happen, right? Again, it was just as a result of choices and consequences.
Oh man.
I don't think it was a mistake. Chat's asking. I don't think it was a mistake to let Thuff the Younger raise Falsey because
You mean Krillin. Or not Krillin.
Exactly.
because
Okay.
it was a role. Like, it was a role.
Oh.
And the role was achieved. So, if it didn't happen, it
He's a
didn't
good emissary.
happen. Is Falsey
So-
any good at swimming?
He's
you remind us?
asking about our next campaign. Is there interest in playing in Aspara? Well, we already know we're not playing in Aspara.
Yes, we do have. I don't know how much we want to spoil. Maybe not very much, but there are fairly concrete plans for our next campaign already, and it won't be in Aspara.
Yeah.
No.
And it's going to be a totally different group of people.
Stay
For sure.
tuned. Well, I'm still going to be playing, and
You're
I
going
think
to be.
You mean
Yeah,
Bill
yeah.
is going to
Yeah,
be playing?
Bill's
Okay.
still playing.
Are you going to be really, really good at holding your breath? Because someone in chat's reminding us that you're really good at swimming. That was pretty good joke
maybe,
for a while there.
maybe.
Oh man.
So campaign
happened if-
2, we discussed. Sorry to cut you off, Emily. We discussed that we want to. I mean, again, as John mentioned, like, Aspara is a very small place, but we're going to try something a little different and have our campaign pretty well contained to like a major city, like something a la like Waterdeep size-ish city, right? Where there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of spaces that to be explored. There's going to be a lot of different like types of factions, and we're going to have a faction stand, all of which we're slowly kind of fleshing out. But we're going to try to do something that maybe feel a little different. Still be focused on role play as we usually are, and also maybe have more like downtime moments and opportunity for the players to have projects going on, or more time will pass in campaign 2. So it's going to be
It
different.
won't
It's
be
going to
2
be
months.
it's going to be the
It'll
same.
longer.
Yeah, it's not going to be just like a 2-month campaign. It's going to be the same, but it's going to be different. We're I think we're all really excited. I know we've been talking about our new characters and, like we said, how well they're going to flesh together, hopefully, and then whether or not they're going to actually cooperate with each other.
Someone's suggesting Shaft the Younger, Just throwing it out there.
And campaign 2 will still be 5th edition.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are playing D&D.
We're going to have a mini campaign in between
Mm-hmm.
that will be run by our very own William.
Very
Cypher.
soon.
It will not be D&D.
Yeah.
Paranoia. Eventually, we'll do that again. There's a lot of other games I think we
Oh,
want to
so
try out.
goofy. But even
Yeah.
the Forgotten Hive, like, if you guys have been caught up, the episodes are hilarious. The monsters, not necessary. Rivers are good enough. And and Emily just let us take care of our own selves there. Just like, I don't even know. We make anything seem almost like paranoia, I feel like.
I got a question, Leland.
Yeah.
Is Nina alive or dead?
Ooh.
So
I gotta know, because Shaft spends the rest of his life with her.
Yeah. As Shaft and Nina take their voyage to Diamond Head, like, slowly she begins to get more color back. You know, the stitches around her limbs and stuff, they heal into scar tissue as the stitches fall out, and she does regain her humanity and is not in fact undead, but is truly alive.
So what
I was
happened to
voting
her
for undead.
from
Shaft's
the
just living
time
with an undead.
in Victor where Shaft was there and she was sort of insane, right? Losing her mind.
due to Jessica's
Mhm.
effects. Yeah.
Mhm.
To the time when he saw her again at the very end. What happened in that?
Well, very very shortly after the party left Victor, Nina's soul was harvested by Jessica and put into an iron cobra. I mean, it's
Okay.
as simple as that. And then the
Oh.
body's discarded. So there is an after credit scene where shortly after Sardo the Revenant is defeated for the first time, where his soul goes into the second body he was in, which happens to be in where they stored all the discarded bodies in Victor. He, the soul inhabited one of those corpses. So that, of course, would be where they just discarded Nina to, etc. So yeah, essentially, I mean, her soul was harvested and used as a battery, basically.
Okay. That's what we were hoping for.
Yeah.
He's alive.
And I mean, if you recall, in what was the episode 31, 32, maybe 33, probably more like, when we had JT and Ada on as our guest NPCs, they spoke of being at the tower and hearing an Iron Cobra speak about Tobias and use it to yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah,
Wow.
it's all been in there.
Wow. Okay.
The name Tobias meant nothing to me.
Bias
I'm
Forge.
excited to be a character that knows stuff next campaign, okay? Mia was in the dark a lot.
Well, Mia also spilled her guts every chance she
Hey.
got too.
Yeah,
There's a
we
reason Mia was
kept
in the
things
dark.
from you on purpose.
Hey, that's Mia being Mia, all right?
Exactly, which is
All
why
right.
she didn't know anything.
Yeah, it is funny. Like I really enjoyed the party dynamic throughout the campaign, right? Even as we, lost some characters and gained some others. But yeah, I think I will say, like, the type of character that Shaft is definitely like hinders play in a lot of ways. I mean, the immediate first example of that that I get was when the party was on their way to Goldham, and Shaft, I gotta sit down for a little bit, I don't feel real good, and the rest of the party is fighting the Ankegs in the rubble around Goldham, and Shaft uses his Eye of Scrying on Isabella, sees Isabella in her true hag form, sees her creating the five-toed toad that ultimately gets sent
Doesn't tell us.
to Goldham and abducts Faldrin. Keeps it all to himself.
Look, Shaft learned on Saturday morning cartoons that knowledge is power.
Oh, wow.
Well, honestly, I don't know what Shaft would have made about it. Like, how do you make heads or tails of what he's seeing? Right.
Yeah, well,
But
true.
knowing that she's more powerful or a different person than she lets on would have been helpful.
Yeah.
Well, you discover that pretty quickly once Falsey gets abducted.
I guess, yeah. Chad's asking me if Mia's honesty was good role playing or me just being me. I would like to say I believe it's role playing because Bryn was basically based off of me.
To say that.
I would like to say that. I think I lean toward being a truthful person in real life and not deceiving, but playing Bryn was more like playing myself. Like, what would Elena do? Just not really having to role play, just being myself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think Bill got more into being able to role play Faldrin as a character instead of just being himself. I didn't really get there with Bryn. I was working towards it. We are going to go into Druid and things like that, but man, so much. What else do we need to know? I have so
if
more.
Falzarin had died,
Yeah.
and Thuff the Younger had not resurrected him, what would have been the plan moving forward? Would Falzarin have taken over an NPC, or would we have created a whole new character for that final bit?
I mean, we would have let Bill make a new character. The origin of that character probably would have been influenced by your current surroundings, right? But like I said, like it wouldn't have restricted in whatever type of character Bill might have wanted to build or play. We just would have adjusted it, and maybe maybe an explanation why they're there or how they join up might feel a little thin, especially that far into the campaign. But I mean, that's just the kind of stuff.
Falzarin's long lost twin brother.
Yeah,
it's also a wizard.
Paul Zarin. Oh, of course, it's Paul Zarin.
Paul Zarin.
Paul Zarin. I honestly thought about that with the fight with Kay, because I was like basically willing to end Mia's story there if it had to. And same sentiment as Shikara with Izzy and all that fight. I was totally okay with if Mia died there as well. Like, just, I think that's what she would have done. So I just figured at that point I could RP as like one of the paladins or, whatever.
Right. Right. So
Falzarin
Chad
would
asks,
have
how
struggled.
exactly did Shaft's brother Danzig get mixed up with Izzy's crew? Well, it
yes.
actually wasn't Isabella's crew, but Danzig was involved with the cult of Krayla
With
Keen.
Erica. Yeah.
Yeah, which
Erica's
which
crew, yeah.
was tied to Erica as well. But I don't know, maybe John, you can fill in like why would Danzig be drawn to something like that? Because we definitely had a back shaft. We had a back shaft in the Vorgreg Mountains
The
where
rituals and-
Danzig and Sybil went through this like blood portal to the elemental plane of water, exactly. And then from there,
he was the bad brother, right?
Yeah,
he was the
right.
one that was sort of outcast from the family, and I was Horik and I were trying to sort of bring him back around. He was the black sheep of the family kind of thing. And I don't know, it might have been in the back shaft, or at least maybe it was something I wrote, where we were trying to go up, and that was one of the things we were going to try up and go up and save him and keep him from getting into the dark. Or Horik and I, so that's how he got mixed up with that. He read some books and wanted the power to stand out within the family,
Books are evil.
make something out of himself.
Well, also like Sybil's influence too, right? So because Danzig was meant to be the what did I call it? The matron's vessel, I think.
Like the sacrifice.
Krayla Keena's wife vessel. Like he was to be turned into the vessel for Krayla Keena's wife.
One of my favorite scenes was there at the end when Shaft ran up and he said, "Save me," and then he disappeared. Right? That, because the redemption, I gotta save my brother. That was more important than, even though he was causing problems.
He was like pickled and stinky. I love it. It's just like,
he finally got buried at the end. We didn't leave him at in Zexa.
So good. What happened to the Tritons? Didn't we ask them for help at some point? We never heard. I don't know.
No, I mean honestly, once he dealt with Krayla Keen, it was Slava gave Falzarin Sending Stone, and that was the last you ever interacted
Sending
with
Stone
him.
never used. All right.
Yeah.
Something I kind of
another one
want
of
for the
those
next
things.
campaign, a Sending Stone.
Sending Stone.
Yes.
Precious spell slots. The whole logic of like, I'm not going to send this to Shaft because he won't reply much. I'm going to send this to Shikara, and then she doesn't say
Doesn't
anything.
reply.
Yeah.
I mean, my favorite sending spell hesitancy, the SPH, was in Heraklion when you were separated from Grimby after the safety shell went up, and you just didn't know what or where he was. And there's so much humming and hawing about sending Grimby a sending spell.
I know. XOXO.
So good.
Oh,
Bill,
my face hurts from smiling.
question for you from chat. What is the biggest part of Falsey's background that we never got introduced to?
I think, I don't know that it needed to happen. I'm fine that it didn't, but I don't.
That he can hold his breath for a long time.
Yeah. I feel like there could have been more time spent focusing on that and really fleshing that out. But, you can only fit so much
got
in.
all that information about how you could swim fast.
Right.
There's only so much time.
Yeah. So part of how he ended up on Heraklion, he was actually born on the mainland. I don't know if we touched on this at all, or maybe only briefly, but
There was a shipwreck. Yada yada.
yeah. So he was born to a family on the mainland, and then there was a shipwreck, disaster struck, and his family perished, but he survived. And oh, we did go over it, yeah, because that's how he knows the Tritons. Yes. Okay, so we did touch on it a little bit, I guess.
Yeah. Like ultimately, that's where your relationship with Slava was formed. Obviously, that shipwreck caused by the Infinite Storm. But so Slava, found you and got you to Heraklion, basically, right?
Right. Yeah.
And you were imparted through that kind of interaction, imparted with a bit of Tritonness, which has allowed you. You had the swim speed and the holding
big
the
feet,
breath.
yeah.
Who raised you on How old were you when this happened, and who raised you on Heraklion?
I would have been like adolescent age, like maybe starting to get into my teens. Like fairly young, in between
He
like
raised
age
himself for the
10 and
hard
15.
knocks of the evocation district.
Um,
Literally hard because of the stone.
yes, but yeah, I didn't have anything all that more meaningful or in depth about Falzarin's backstory that I guess didn't come out. That was the main thing, was how he ended up being transitioning from being born on the mainland and then making his way to Heraklion, where he was raised by wizards, basically, having been orphaned essentially and rescued by the Tritons. So yeah, no, I think Falzarin's backstory had enough come through.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't really have much more than that, to be honest.
Did
But-
we think
Y'all-
this would take 4.5 years?
Oh.
No.
No.
No,
No.
man. I mean,
I
here's the
don't-
thing. We started pre-COVID, right? And then, I don't know. COVID feels like a blur of years.
That's probably why it feels a lot longer than it
Yeah.
was.
I mean, I'm not upset at how long it took, other than there was just so much that happened, and towards the end it was hard to remember everything
Right.
because of
Mhm.
previously stated lack of notes.
Yeah.
I was ready for it to end, but also not ready for it to end.
Agreed.
We are getting pretty powerful. That's difficult to plan for.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else. How to say that. We were having fun, but it was, I think, so many threads were out there that as it started to come together, you started to get some finality to it,
Mhm.
that it felt right, that we were getting to that point where we knew it was time to wrap it all together. And
Yeah, and I definitely, like I said in the recording, I cried at the end, and then I listened to it again back, and I cried, and then I listened to it again just before we recorded this, and I cried. So-
I mean, I think we've said many times before, when you play role-playing games, you envision stuff in your mind. You think about it being a
Mhm.
place. You have memories like vacations, right? That you've taken in real life.
Mind
And
vacations.
so it's knowing that it's done is sort of heartbreaking in a way.
I
But
think I was legit depressed for like a week after
Aw.
we recorded the finale.
Yeah, like I was down for a week or two after.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to describe it. It was just like lethargic, and I'm like, I didn't really want to do anything. Yeah, it was a strange experience, honestly. Like
Yeah.
almost like you're mourning something.
Yes,
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
right.
you're grieving the loss of
Exactly.
these like characters you're attached to and
Yes.
this world that we've created together. And I don't know that I cried or felt depressed or anything. I teared up for sure when Leland was like the speech he gives at the end. Just I teared up. Emily was tearing up, which made me tear. Like,
Stuff all
I
over
was
again.
very happy with how my character wrapped up, and I will forever remember these two characters. But Mia, I'm very attached to Mia, so very happy at how things ended, which
Me
helps.
too.
Bill, man of many
Um,
words.
he's too emotional to
This
speak.
is sorry for the live audience. This is the pauses we usually edit out.
Choked up. I'm very choked up. Are you referring to a question in chat for me? Or
I just wanted to hear your opinion on wrapping up your first character and campaign.
okay. Yeah, I was, to be honest, I was a bit distracted by thinking about the question from chat,
Oh,
which
yeah,
is a
sorry.
bit of a tangent, but
I will edit it out.
we can cut that out. We yeah, having spent 4.5 years on my very first campaign, I mean it's good and bad, I guess, because like I absolutely loved the experience, but obviously that's not realistic to expect other campaigns to last 4.5 years, and I guess it's not a bad thing, but I like there's a ton of depth that went into this world, and it became more and more and more believable the more time you
Yes.
spend in it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's hard to replicate for sure. So I'm
No pressure,
like,
Leland.
I don't think you, and I don't think you
Do it
need,
all, but in a city.
I don't think you need to, right? Like there's benefits to having a long campaign. There's also cons and vice versa. There's benefits to doing something that's shorter as well.
Yeah, and
So
those pros and cons are both. You got to look at it as us playing a game and then us being a podcast too.
Right.
Obviously, right?
Yeah.
Like we're not planning campaign 2 to take 4.5 years to be completed, right? We're
Purposefully trying not to do that.
yeah, and I don't know. Maybe that is in the way that I need to prepare the campaign. Just might be something that is really on my shoulders to mitigate or mediate. But I don't know. Like you say, like it feels nice when there's a lot of shit going on and you have choices, and that's the agency is with the players to figure out what and where they want to go and do in what order. And I don't want to put up any roadblocks in that aspect just to service of making something 50 episodes instead of 70, right? Like,
Right.
Oh,
so that's
yeah.
not like, that's not going to happen.
An exact number is not the way to do it, I don't think.
No. I mean, it's going to be different. I think it's going to feel different, but it's going to feel the same because obviously it's the 5 of us.
Because it's
I mean,
us.
we all have,
Yeah.
our kind of roleplay tendencies. Obviously I have, as somebody that, prepares the story and some of the plot points, I have, my own tropes that I'm going to try not to fall into and try not to reiterate things that maybe we did way early in the campaign that could have been done better. Maybe, you know what I mean? Like,
Will there be a Blake Lakely-esque character?
oh yeah, of course.
Too?
Blake Lakely will show. Of course, Blake Lakely will show up in some capacity. Yeah. So
There's always a Blake Lakely.
There's always a Blake Lakely. But maybe you'll like this one. Maybe you'll like this
There's a
version.
Blake,
of Blake
there's a
Lakely.
Lakely. Yeah. Oh, no, Izzy. No. No, Izzy. Someone say
Lizzie,
Izzy too?
Lisabella,
Lizzie? A Sizzy?
Liz-
No.
Lisabella bad.
Maybe there could be a
I
cat
think
named Isabella.
you
That's
can't-
fine.
You can't redo Isabella. Isabella is herself,
Yeah.
and she's got to stay.
I do
Oh.
enjoy the thought of returning to Aspara at some points. I know, like forever ago, John kind of suggested like a pre-campaign one Aspara kind of thing, which might be interesting, might not. I don't know. But
30 years
have-
prior, a prequel.
When
Right,
we go
a
do our
prequel.
live shows,
Mm-hmm.
do a one-shot set in Aspara.
oh,
with
that's
our
right.
Aspara
Yeah.
characters.
We're doing live shows?
And fuck no.
Let's hammer out some of these last few questions and then we can kind of wrap this up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
so-
gonna be a long one.
From chat. So Falls are Bill. Wow. In campaign 2, I'm going to be calling each of you by your Aspara characters a lot, I bet. But
gonna
Bill,
happen.
is there any spell that you regret not taking for Falzarin?
that's a hard one. I was always tempted by the fly spell, but I mean, I had Denny, so I didn't really need that spell. I mean, teleport is
Teleport
also
would've been
very
nice.
cool. I had
You didn't
Dimension
really,
Door.
yeah, you didn't use Dimension Door, so maybe you would have used Teleport.
Well, teleport's
Or-
a 7th level spell.
Yeah,
Oh.
I didn't make it to being able to get teleport, but that would be a very cool one.
Sorry, I'm stuck in Baldur's Gate mentality.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty happy. I spent a fair bit of time actually. Every time it was time for Falzarin to level up, I did a fair bit of reading. So I think I'm glad with what I picked. Yeah.
I think Gravity Sinkhole is a sweet spell.
Yes.
Yes.
Well,
It is.
it did do a
Yeah.
little bit of damage
Just a little.
to Shaft.
To Shaft, yeah.
There you go.
Emily, again from chat. I never saw Shakara's romance with Grimby coming and never understood her odd cult family. Would you explain that a bit and what it means to you?
So the Shakara Grimby romance, I don't even remember how that started. But I think she just was attracted to his ruggedness and the little bit of a dark side to him. I think they're kind of like, especially once she started down the path of Warlock, they were really just very similar, I believe. You agree with that, Leland? They kind of like just had the same mentality.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry, I got. Thank you for the follow. Grimby definitely had an
You can't
edge.
hear alerts.
Grimby definitely had an edge because, like, in chapter 1. Wow, no, chapter 2. Chapter 2, like, and when the Rising 2 went down, when they got attacked by Sybil and the Drowned, right, and the Coulter Kalakina like shell ship that ultimately became Rising 3. In the Hall of Rising 2 were barrels of phlogiston being transported, right? So, like, on behalf of the Paladins of Cultus. So, yeah, Grimby definitely isn't like a cut and dry, like, goody like OG Shakara was. So I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah, it's more shades of gray and
50? Sorry.
Not well. Anyway, the whole cult family thing, I think, was Shakara's way of dealing with being in the cult. She didn't want to admit to herself how towards the dark side she had gone. So instead of saying cult, it was her family, and that was her way of making it right in her brain and for her in her mind. So it's just the people that she wanted close to her, like her friend Campbell. Hulsa, who basically asked to join her family because Hulsa wanted to be, that's what Hulsa needed, was to be part of a family. So Shakara happily welcomed her in and took her to be her sister. And it was just Shakara not admitting what the true situation was, I think.
What if I joined your family?
You offered.
I know.
You denied.
She was
many
down.
times. So, like, towards the end, like, you weren't even going to be a part of the family because you had already said no. But if Falzarin had said, like, Shakara would have accepted Falzarin into the family.
Not Shaft, because he said it was a cult. She didn't like that.
It didn't really work with my story, but it's funny.
Yeah, no, it didn't.
If I wanted to be chaotic, it's just be like, I want flowing hair.
I liked the family aspect of it because, I mean, it really did make sense. I mean, you think of Shakara, originally she left everything she knew behind her. She left her family to go about accomplishing her 15 great deeds, and while the great deeds became less important, I don't think Shakara ever really gave up on doing good, in any area. Like I don't believe that ever left the window, as far to the dark side that Shakara may have leaned. I don't think that it was ever completely abolished. The good was never completely abolished. Clearly, right? Obviously, and she was able to sway back to the kind of the heroic side of it and making the right choice for Aspara and ultimately for herself and the party, right? So that's why I enjoyed the family aspect, and I think that's why it was appealing to many of the NPCs. Now, you could say, if you wanted to be a little antagonistic about it, that Shakara was a little predatory in the NPCs that she chose to offer a spot in the family, perhaps.
Only
in maybe
one.
in maybe their moments, their downest moments.
Only one.
Well,
Just
I mean,
Drag.
drag,
Hulsa
but
asked. Hulsa
Hulsa-
asked. Campbell was there from the very beginning.
okay.
Predatory. I
It
love
was
that
it
word.
was when Drag was low, she offered him a way up. Offered him companionship and family.
And
And the
vengeance.
fact that he needed something and she took advantage of that's a side thing. He needed. She was there to give him
Oh,
what he needed
that's-
at that moment.
Is your family an MLM or like what kind of
What are they
If you work
selling?
hard enough,
recruitment process? Well, no, they're not selling, they're recruiting. So it's like, if I recruit you, you got to recruit 2 friends.
Yes.
Oh,
John, what part of your
Yeah.
person shines through the most in Shaft?
Oh.
The manipulation.
The lies.
Says his
Whoa!
wife.
Oh,
I would
boy.
say, yeah. Shaft likes to take in information and think about it,
Half-truths.
and then use it to his advantage. And I think I do the same thing in a way. I don't always just blurt out stuff. I want to think about the information you get and then use it in an intelligent way. Some call that manipulation. I just call it wisdom.
So
Yep.
that aspect of Shaft is why, like, he and Isabella could never get along or be on the same page. Like, really, because I mean, obviously Isabella has plenty of those manipulative tendencies, but I don't see the two of them like really like working together, even just temporarily for the benefit of both of them achieving a singular goal. Like, I just don't. It doesn't mesh.
They'd both be trying to get the upper hand on each other all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Which
Neither
is
of
what
them
makes
wants to
them
be a
work so
bottom.
great together.
Hands touching hands.
So another
handsy.
thing when it comes to Isabella that the party didn't really have an opportunity to uncover, again, which kind of harkens back to like how I don't know if underutilized is the correct term, but I'll use it. Underutilized Jessica was in the campaign. How some of your, the lack of some interactions with things around the coven as a party, maybe less so with Shakara, but the blank page in the book, right? In Alamar's family history and the tree, right? I mean, obviously it was Isabella that orchestrated the illusion of it, right?
What?
The very story about the member of Cultus wearing the armor and being the one that sealed away Dendar and Limik, fabricated by Isabella over the 1,000 of years that she can
Lies?
slow drip this and make it reality, essentially, as a part of her long life. Because obviously it doesn't. How did Kalar get sealed? Kalar was wearing the armor when everything got sealed away, because he had to have been, because that's kind of how it worked, as you saw with Samuel wearing the armor, right? So a lot of those things that are just happening to the, it's obviously nothing that the party could have interacted with because it's already done, right? It's just part of this kind of unraveling of how everything goes together. Now, maybe if like there was kind of motive to pursue Kalar himself, or who is like, this is armor of Kalar, but the Cultus family, where, like, maybe if that was pursued, like there would have been opportunity to kind of uncover more of that. But that's just kind of another one of those things that just in the narrative and how things went, it just wasn't something that the party could really have uncovered or discovered about Isabella.
Yeah, I mean, it was just sort of a happenstance that we popped into Sammy's place and happened to find a secret door, which had the stuff all in there that gave us the information, right? It wasn't
Right.
That wasn't someplace we were traveling to.
No.
It was an accident that we denied and still
I mean,
And
essentially
never
may
told
not have
anyone
ever been
about.
there.
Although
using
whatever
that
you did
portal
tell me, I told.
system. Oh, that portal system was fun I like almost regretted there being it existing and giving the
Why?
party access to it.
Wasn't there a portal to
In
Drukal?
Drukal, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Isabella-
a terrible
Isabella
portal
had-
system.
Had no dealings in Drukal. Isabel had no connections to Drukal. The Coven had no connections to Drukal. Like if you kind of think about it, Drukal
Didn't
is
she hire Detmer?
she hired
No,
Detmer
didn't he-
through Blake Lake.
Through like lately.
Oh.
That's really this tangential connection that Isabella has to Drukal. I mean, I suppose as far as Drukal or as far as Isabella is concerned, Drukal is just another place in Aspara. Like she cares about Heraklion as a place, right? I mean, there's very few like locations that are important to Isabella. I think her setting up in Zexa is more of a benefit of the small town. She can very easily insert herself as being a major figure in it, which kind of allows her to wield some, a little bit of more that, I guess power or influence there just as a result of the way Zexa is kind of thing. But yeah, I guess she just really had no need to have it in Drukal. And also, that would have been very convenient for the party once they gain access to it. Maybe a little too convenient. So.
Yeah, you don't want her sitting in your subway.
She'd only
system
been
up.
in Zexa for a few weeks, though.
Yeah,
Well,
she
we
hadn't
don't
been. She hadn't been in Zexa for very
So
long.
how long do those portals take to make?
I
They're just
mean,
magically okay.
Yeah.
she has her process to create them, right?
Yep.
And
Oh,
you
the
saw
good
Erica
doctor.
also trying to create her own as well, from the Coral Urn to Under the Tainted Lake,
Yeah.
which didn't go very well. Another chat question for me: which NPC do I relate to personally the most? Oh, I don't. I want to say that there's not much of myself in any of my NPCs, but obviously
Grimby?
that's a lie. I think it's Grimby. I do think it's
yeah.
Grimby. I don't know why. I guess he's described as being this like burly kind of jovial, go with the flow kind of person. I guess I can be like that sometimes. So yeah, I guess Grimby.
So back to the earlier questions, like I know from my side why Shakara liked Grimby. Why did Grimby like Shakara?
Ooh, that's a good question. Yeah, I don't know. I think
She saw it.
what's very well.
He met her as a dragonborn.
I know.
That's true.
Her
I
hair.
think Grimby appreciated your like the strength that Shakara has and shows, like strength of character in addition to physical prowess, obviously something that could be important to Grimby. But a lot of the interactions that Shakara had with Hulsa, and Hulsa and Grimmy spent quite a bit of time together too, right? So it's kind of all into I think it's really like the actions that Shakara took as evil, quote unquote, that some of them may seem, or irrational, maybe some of them seem. I think, like you say, with Grimby having his kind of edge, that he can kind of commiserate with a lot of the choices you've made. He's himself made similar choices that would not be seen as something that a person of good standing or good character may make. So I think maybe it's more like a kind of like a kindredship that he saw in Shakara.
That makes sense.
But yeah, it's I never really thought, why would Grimby want to be with Shakara?
Shakara really took care of him when he was feeble-minded.
Well,
cared
yes,
about
that's
him a
true.
lot.
Yeah.
Did he know that?
I don't know.
I mean, there's so many things that you injure in RP that you kind
Like
of
a
have to
child
like
knows.
hand wave. Yeah, like right, like a child knows that they're cared for. I suppose maybe something like that.
He just came back to his wits about him and was like, I really feel like Shakar cares about me.
I just know.
Just know. Deep down in my peg leg.
He's got all his legs. He's got both his
Okay.
legs.
All right.
He's only missing a few fingers. That's it.
All right, there's a good chance I'm going to pee my pants, so I think we
dear.
need to wrap this up.
Oh yeah, you were entertaining during our break. Correct.
True.
So
I-
yeah, Go ahead.
I will say we've yes, if the from the comment in chat about keeping one thing to change about the campaign, keeping fights shorter and lighter. If you have any suggestions like that, please send them to us. Like DM them to us in the Discord channel. Send us a Twitter, an X message over whatever social media. Like yes, like if there's some aspect that you maybe want to see enhanced a little more, or something that we could pull away from, we're absolutely pleased. We very much appreciate the constructive criticism, and we're very grateful for it, and obviously grateful for our listeners and our patrons, everybody that participates in our Discord. I mean, we wouldn't be doing it if you weren't there, right? Like,
Yep.
Right. Well, I suggest more stats too. Bill, we'll talk.
Yeah, Ben's like more stats.
Find all our social media on incorrigibleparty.com. You can join our Discord and talk to us daily because we talk a lot
Because we chat.
on that.
Most of us.
Yeah.
I talk a lot on there.
Yeah, we've like formed a little community, and it's been so great. So much of this campaign was changed by your suggestions, your inspiration, your Patreon
That's something we need to discuss
items.
with inspiration for campaign.
So again, thank you for supporting us in any way you can. Your follows, your subs, your lurks, your
And
$2 inspirations, and
let people know about the new campaign coming up. It'd be
Spread the
great to get
word.
people in fresh and new when we're starting the next one.
Yes.
And it's a little daunting to tell somebody about a 4.5-year campaign, but
Yes,
starting a
yeah.
new one, they might be willing to jump in and start from beginning with us. So
A
It's
lot
gonna
of
be-
people say they found us from word of mouth, so just tell people.
Yeah.
It really helps.
It's always cool to
I've
hear that.
heard some people say they don't want to listen to the end of this campaign because it would be over then. But
Oh.
I think it's really worth it. I think that last episode was really good, really well done. I'm really happy with the way it came out. And they wouldn't be hearing this because they wouldn't have heard that one.
Yeah, that's
so.
true. We have really cool stuff planned for campaign 2, though. Like, we've been in real life talking about it till 3 a.m. We're so excited about it when we've hung
That
out
is true,
in
yeah.
real life. So we're very excited for campaign 2. Lots of fun things.
It's gonna be the best campaign yet.
Yeah.
the best 3 campaigns yet.
And we've heard you loud and clear that you like the after parties. So that's like again, we really enjoy your feedback and use it.
Yeah.
Yep. Great. All right, take us out, John.
okay, I'm doing it for the last time.
Campaign 1. Not
Well,
forever.
for the last
For the last
time,
time.
I've been Shaft and
Oh.
John.
I've been Emily and Shakara
Oh, don't make me cry.
and Gozer.
I'm Elena. I played Mia and Bryn.
I've been Bill and Falzarin.
And I'm Leland Steele.
And I'm
Happy
crying again.
adventure.
Happy adventuring.
Oh no.
Happy adventuring.
Happy adventuring.
Ba, 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 ba.